Hello and welcome back to Upsurge Esports, where today we close out week one with a matchup in the Upsurge Minor League between Los Payasos and Team Solid. My name is Tanner Metro. You guys can just call me Metro. And today I have the honor of working alongside my colorcaster Switch. And to close out week one, Switch, how are you doing today, my man?
Oh man, doing really good. Thank you. Can I call you Tanner though? Because
You,
I
you
kind of
can,
prefer
you can
Tanner.
call me whatever you like. Don't feel like you need to say the whole name.
Gotcha. I won't be intimidated by that one. I should start using my last name. Yeah, doing fantastic actually. It's a beautiful Friday. Everything seems to be all right. By the way, a little tidbit of trivia right here. Payaso is actually the direct translation for clown in Spanish. So this is technically the clowns versus Team Solid, and it's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the first time, obviously, week one that these teams are facing off. So, it's time to create that narrative of are the clowns going to do some clowning, right? And make
Yeah.
Team Solid look silly, or are they going to come out here and look like clowns and, kind of play a little silly and start clowning around? One thing that I saw across the board, and I wrote this down as just like a small like side note, maybe this happens. But for Los Payasos, the clowns, I saw Malphite played in the mid lane a couple of times, and it was tank Malphite. So maybe that is, they are paying homage to the name with the clowning around and pulling out some picks like that.
That is actually a counter pick that I don't have a lot of faith in. There are a couple other interesting picks that I have been looking at. Like for example, Silas Jungle is
Mm,
really starting to ramp up. So if we're talking about Los Payasos, I might want to look for that. Uh, Pike support, obviously a really high
yes.
skill cap champion, is also played by Machuca in the support position. So I could actually see a lot of spice coming into this matchup. A bit of backstory on Los Payasos. They're actually um, were formed from playing through lands constantly with each other, and they have run in UML once so far. But aside from that, this is another roster in UML that you're expecting to have a lot of development.
A lot of development. And I mean, it's summer, right? We're kicking things off week one. And whether these games having these teams kind of be, like you said, built off of lands and maybe not having played in some of these, well, I mean, like Upsurge kind of being one of the largest, if not the largest. But if these teams haven't been playing in these leagues, they'll get a good taste, right? They have week one, they'll
Oh
play this
yeah,
one out, and then they'll have the rest of the season to really feel each other out working into the playoffs. It is in the minor leagues. And I'm so excited to see how this one is going to shake out because I feel like Upsurge just as a whole throughout the week has had such exciting matches, even some of the matches that are played elsewhere. If you take a look at some of those, the teams are just so scrappy. They're battling it out in every single one of the leagues as a whole. And it looks like we may be jumping into picks and bans here soon, hopefully. Team Solid is going to be on the blue side, Los Payasos on the red side, and we'll have to look for some of those picks, right? I saw Set being played in the jungle by Judge Grudge, the jungler for Los Payasos. Also a pick that's just heavily favored in the top lane. So they also have some options there. It's going to be interesting to see how these the picks and bans play out.
for sure. I would actually agree with you. Where I've been having a lot of fun casting amateur matches just because they've been so exciting. It feels like even though we are in a difficult time, with all this trouble going around, there's still really a lot of excitement, and I would say like a lot of high level play just constantly happening in the amateur scene. I'm glad we get to cast it. The bans are coming down, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting right into it, and of course, we're gonna see the Yasuo ban very early on from Team Solid, as well as the Nautilus. I personally think that Nautilus is top 3 supports right now, so I can totally understand wanting to get a Nautilus away from Los Payasos. When we talked about Muchaco, we talked about his Pike support, but any hook support champion is really sort of identifiable as a big playmaker in that bottom lane.
Yeah, that is nail on the head. He plays the Pike mostly, but yeah, Thresh, Nautilus, sprinkled in some Leona, just really anybody who's got that skill shot, hook, or any way to close the gap is right up his wheelhouse. Is Set going to round out the band? Set and Graves taken away, so could be considered 2 jungle picks. And Syndra going to be the first one to lock in. And this is something that I wanted to talk about today because both mid laners have played the Syndra before, and I was wondering, and this kind of answers my question, if we were going to see it just blind picked because it's such a strong mid laner. Not only do you want it for the strength, but you're okay with taking it first and then letting
Yeah.
the rest of the draft kind of play out.
Yeah, exactly. Usually through the first pick phase, I see something like bottom lane and a jungler secured, but taking a Syndra this early on, like you said, Tanner, just means that you're taken away from your opponents. Syndra is so freaking solid right now. You just get so much lane priority off of it. You've got your power spike built in at level 6, and you can start playing around these skirmishes. And even when you get some towards some of those later parts of the game, it's not like she's irrelevant. It's not like she's a Pantheon that goes all in on that early phase. You can totally scale up and carry throughout any point in the game. So this is a good pick to have. As a reply, it has been the Jarvan and the Aphelios picked up. Really no surprise there. The Aphelios is still one of those tried and true marksmen here in Season 10 where you can just leave alone in the backline. As long as the marksman player has good positioning, he can pretty much be left alone. He's self-sufficient and still brings a heap and helping of damage.
And the Braum gonna follow that one possibly here as we've got Callista Thresh locked in for the bottom lane for Team Solid. And I mean, that's just a solid bottom lane at that. You've got nice engage from the Thresh. The Callista should be able to power you through the early and mid game. And then as you get into later, you know, you can then rely on that Syndra to just blow somebody up in a team fight. I like the route that Team Solid took, right? You ban away the Nautilus. The Pike was still available, but it's not something that you necessarily see in competitive play. They take the Thresh, which, you know, almost directly hurts that Aphelios pick, and now they maybe put Machuca on something that he might not be the most comfortable with, right? We talked about him playing the hook champions. Then you put him on the Braum. It's the next best pick to kind of help the Aphelios here, but it could be something that he's a little unfamiliar with, so I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking about the three hook champions that could have potentially played: the Nautilus, the Thresh, and the Pike. Well, Thresh was taken, Nautilus was banned, and Pike, it doesn't seem like is very applicable in this scenario, just because Thresh Callista it brings so much damage in the very early phases of the game. I'm all for players trying to push the Callista pick because it can pay off in dividends and it can help you actually end a game really early on. So possibly Team Solid bringing some of that big firepower to the early game. The bans are taken away as well. It was the Mordekaiser, Zac, Zed, and Echo all taken off the table. So for Team Solid, they take the Syndra, they take away some immediate counter picks, and now it's up to Los Payasos to figure out what they want to run in the mid lane.
Yeah, and Echo, the most played for Fire Song, the mid laner for Los Payasos. So taking that away, the comfortability again there, and then able to, yeah, kind of help that first pick. Sure, you pick Syndra first, it's safe-ish. It still has, you know, ways to be countered or kind of hindered as a pick. They ban away a couple of mid laners, hopefully keep them safe, as Cassiopeia going to be the lock-in. And I think across the amateur scene, we've seen this Cass pick flexed into the top lane, into the mid lane. So I don't want to say that this is going to Fire Song. I didn't necessarily see it in Horizon's champion pool, but I definitely want to keep doors open for that flex pick to come through. As the Maokai going to be locked in, and I believe Maokai just received some nerfs, but it's still, I mean, he's still just such a strong tank in the game.
Yeah, I mean, once you get out of the laning phase, it's no problem at all. You really don't feel those nerfs. They were more of a slap on the wrist, which is a bit more exaggerated when you're in a bad matchup. That's why I'm most curious what Payasos is going to pick as their final champion, possibly in the top lane, like you were saying. If you run the Cassiopeia in the top lane, sure, you get to poke down really hard, and you force Maokai to start using his Qs under the tower. But aside from that, you're not expecting to snowball like crazy. If you put the Cassiopeia in the mid lane, though, there is a window to really start to take over the game. You're already in the mid lane where you can provide a lot of influence on the rest of Summoner's Rift, and you're in a matchup that is very much skill-based.
Yeah, and they lock in the Ornn for the last pick, which I still think can be flexed. I would imagine we see that go in the top lane, but I'm keeping my options open before I really start talking about or wanting to talk about the matchups specifically, as Olaf gets locked in for Team Solid. And this is just such a strong tool, not only as a jungler early, but you have this team that can essentially just run anybody down, right? You have the Callista ultimate to throw your support in, the Maokai grasp coming out from underneath it, and then Olaf just Ragnaroking through all of the CC on your team. The one thing that is a little awkward, I think, for me, typically you see sometimes Olafs can run Ghost, but a lot of the times, competitive play, blah, 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 you'll see the flash taken, and you picked it into a Jarvan who, if you want to hinder that Olaf, all you have to do is press R on him, and there's really nowhere to go, especially if he does take the Ghost. And then if you want to get out and continue forward, you have to blow the flash. So an interesting pick,
Yep.
but I think it does work well with their composition as a whole.
For sure. Team Solid have okay, I'm gonna avoid the pun of saying a
Yeah.
solid composition. They have a really sturdy composition going for themselves right now. They checked in all the boxes, right? They have dedicated front line, relatively decent engage, especially with the Callista pick. That's part of the reason why Callista is so hard to balance, because the skill ceiling for using her ultimate is actually massive. Just jettisoning in a Thresh, able to land a Flay, or able to provide the box in a good area. This is such a fantastic tool to have, and I'm hoping Team Solid takes full advantage of it. Either way, when we talk about early to mid game spikes, Team Solid certainly do have an advantage here. I expect top lane to go slightly in favor of Olaf, but all of the other lanes to really have much more agency than Los Payasos.
Yeah, and I think this is something I talk about just as a jungler as a whole. When you pick your champion, it really feels horrible when you have a jungler like Olaf who doesn't have any hard CC, right? He's not going to lock anybody down. He's just going to hit that undertow. And then, you play somebody in the top lane who might not have as much CC either, right? If you had, say, it was a Cassiopeia top and she's only got her miasma, blah, 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 blah. But that's not the case here, right? Olaf has so many options. Maokai up top, he's got the Twisted Advance to root him up. Thresh has the Flay, and then Syndra has the Scatter the Weak. So it really allows this Olaf, who can sometimes struggle if you're not landing those undertows or you can't close the distance, to really shine because he's got that supporting CC. I would love to see an early invade, right? One team has the Braum, one team has the Olaf, and Olaf, you toss the axe, you flash on top of it, you keep tossing the axe, and you can try and get an early kill. I doubt that we're going to see that because it is week 1. Everybody wants to play safe, but I want to see some early aggression from really either of these teams because they've got the compositions for it early.
I feel that, yeah. I mean, Los Payasos is the clown, so if there's any time to clown around, it's probably the beginning of the season. Testing the waters, maybe going for a cannonball instead of actually just easing into things. But let's talk about Payasos' composition for a second, because when it comes to late game, this is some of the most ridiculous late game scaling I've seen in quite a long time. The problem is just getting to the point where you feel confident. For someone like Aphelios, it's 2 items. Cassiopeia is 2 items. So the power kicks in a bit earlier than you think. My question is, who's really going to be dragging them through the early game? Because while Jarvan is quite serviceable, it's going to take a good amount of skillful play to really make sure that you're not falling behind. Because when you look at your opposition, I mean, it just seems stacked to the very brim of it, aside from top lane. My biggest concern right now, if I were to look at any one lane, is still going to be that bot lane for the side of Los Payasos, just because Braum Aphelios, if they fall behind, it's going to be so difficult to contain a Callista Thresh lane. This is really a premier snowballing bot lane. Callista Thresh can just constantly go for these engages. Thresh's his kit is half just skirmishing potential in general. So if Team Solid get off to a great start, you could be sure that they are going to be securing some dragons and securing some Rift Heralds.
Yeah, and when it comes to securing the dragons, securing the Rift Heralds, both of these teams have powerhouse teams to do that, right? Cassiopeia just spitting out the Twin Fangs. You've got the Aphelios on top of it, and then you've got Callista with the Rend, who has, the built-in smite for that, and then Olaf just tossing down the axes. So both of these teams, when it comes to, being able to fight for the objectives or take the objectives, neither of them are going to be slouching, right? They're just going to completely just shred through, whether it be Dragon, whether it be Baron, Rift Herald. What I haven't seen in a while is the teeter-totter kind of composition or play style rather, where you kind of jump, your bottom lane to the top side, grab the Rift Herald, grab the Dragon back and forth, and things like that. But we'll have to see how this one shakes down. Now, we are going to jump to a quick break before we hop into game number 1. But before we do that, we've got a quick word from our sponsors over at Sector 6.
Started with a vision of quality, a vision of uniformity.
We took the time to create something familiar yet refreshing, something with a bit of change.
Designed to fit Any brand's unique vision.
I'm just getting started. I've been making moves before the dawn, playing through the darkness. And I can go on and on and on and on and on.
And we are underway. Game number 1 between Team Solid and Los Payasos. I'm so very excited. We broke down the compositions as a whole, but now we get to see how it plays out. And it looks like we're going to see an early 5-point stance. Switch, we're not going to see the clowning around that we were hoping for.
We're not. We're not, Tanner. I'm trying to contain my sorrow as we speak, but it'll be quite all right. I mean, it's the first game of this season here for UML, an exciting one to be sure, but this is probably going to be a slow start, to say at the very least. Let's take a look and possibly highlight some of the runes that we have here, Tanner. So mid lane is definitely a bit of, how would I say, contrast, perhaps, because we're going with the Electrocute, obviously, for the Syndra pick here. On the other hand, instead of going for a Conqueror, it's actually just the Phase Rush for Fire Song, which makes a lot of sense. Mobility is super important when you're on Cassiopeia versus this composition. You got Maokai Olaf flying around at you. You've got to dodge these Scatter the Weaks. And don't even get me started on the bot lane. It's going to be like playing a bullet hell simulator, but it's going to be made slightly easier just because of the Phase Rush.
Yeah, and it's even the ability to run somebody down, right? If the Cassiopeia is on the offense, has that phase rush to keep moving forward. And since we're talking about the mid lane, real quick, both of our junglers starting on the top side. pretty standard. Olaf not actually choosing to start at the buff. And I've sometimes seen this. Okay, never mind. He is going to go to his buff next here. But I'd sometimes seen where junglers won't grab their buffs the first time around as
Level
Judge
2?
comes through. No, does find the knockup. Your move, forced to flash away. Gonna stay alive, but a flashless Syndra now on a very immobile champion. That could spell trouble.
Yeah, hot dog. That was a really good level 2 executed from Judge Drudge. Popping in on the mid lane, and he's going to get very well paid off for his investment. One flash and a big chunk off of the Syndra. She actually had to go back, expend her teleport. This early on, it's not like you're going to buy anything, so that's a huge win. Both summoners off of that Syndra pick.
Yeah, nice play there to get things started. The hitbox looked a little wonky on my end, but Judge Grudge knowing the champion well enough to know that he was going to hit that. And I wanted to talk about the Syndra's name, Your Move. I get these really Yu-Gi-Oh-esque vibes when I hear that, so I may be talking about taking somebody to the Shadow Realm, you know, if we see a good Unleash Power or something like that. Just a heads up, because, yeah, I'm getting some Yu-Gi-Oh vibes as the stuns come out and both the mid laners just trading back and forth. Now, Judge Grudge is on the bottom side of the map in that tri-bush. May not be spotted as he looks to come around here.
Double slow.
Finds the slow, does get hooked up. The heal is going to be used immediately as he's taking
Very
dangerously low.
nice.
The ignite is on, but that's the first blood underneath the turret to Slurps, and Silent Carry has no answer for that kill.
And super standard, but well executed nonetheless. Judge Drudge actually getting the last knock on that concussive blow, was able to get the stun. Now, unfortunately, Greggy trying to push him back doesn't overextend, and that's the crucial part. Bot lane now rotating. It's going to be a big skirmish.
Yeah, we should see the fight coming out. Firesong taken low, able to kite away for now. Your Move does get tagged up. No flash on the Syndra mains. He will fall. He's stunned up and taken down. Yes, he is. Slurps flashes forward and secures that kill. Now, Greggy in a bad spot as he walked a little too far forward. Does manage to trade one for himself. The axe comes through a nice snipe as he stays alive, and Slurp's just going to push forward and try and get up at a beautiful death sentence. Keeps his jungler safe, and Triple Lift is finding the kills, paying homage to the name, trying to chase him down, but forces the flash away from Machuca.
What a bloody fight. 3 kills going down in that big skirmish, and you've now got pretty much an even playing field for the most part. You take a look at where the gold has landed, though, and Slurps on the Aphelios. He did end up going down, taking off a Summoner's Rift. And by the way, can I just highlight really quick, because this might come into play. Look at the setup right here. The hook lands.
Oh, the death sentence is there, and there's just no way out. Slurps will fall as Triple Lift finds another one, and you cast or cursed him. You talked about that giant sword in his inventory, and it takes 3 members to take him down, but they do manage to get another kill onto the AD carry.
Oof, man. And that's a big stingy play right there. Yeah. Unfortunately, Slurps, he was put ahead, but with all this time you're losing, as well as EXP, it doesn't feel quite as glamorous, does it?
Absolutely not. Now, he is a little bit behind, and he'll miss out on just a bit more. It shouldn't be too much, and Your Move stepping up. The slow comes through from the Golden Aegis, but Greg is here now.
One more undertow.
Yeah, forced to run away. A nice flash there to keep him safe for now. He's trying to find his way back into the fight, but without any mana, there's no way back in. Everybody will disengage for now, but Firesong, you know, forced to use his flash there, and again, that's just, you're an immobile mid laner. Both Syndra and Cassiopeia flashless.
No kidding. Both immobile, but really taking a big share of all the action here in this early game. It's no surprise that both junglers are constantly shadowing over their mid laners. Look, Tanner, they're back at it again, man. Just constantly visiting, because this is a huge swingy matchup. You get one bit of leverage as the Syndra here, and you're going to start consistently winning those 1v1s. It's very hard to screw it up when you got the R button in your back pocket. So definitely keep my eyes peeled. I'm sure both mid laners are as well.
And Greggy just looking to push out that lane, allow his mid laner to find a recall. They do spot Greggy out. Now, with the mid lane recalling, this could be a potential dragon for Los Payasos, and it does look like it's going to get started up. We'll have to see if Greggy is privy to this as he starts walking that way.
I think the calls are being made. You're seeing Silent Carry on the Thresh just rotate quite a bit. There's the vision gain from the scrying Blossom, and well, no big moves are going to be made. This was perfectly timed with when your move on the Syndra actually went back, so that's just smart stuff coming out from Payasos, and they get themselves the Infernal Drake very early on into this game.
Yeah, the early damage definitely going to help propel them forward, as they also have the scaling squad, right? They've got the Ornn, the Cassiopeia, the Aphelios. All of that is going to feel good with an extra 4% in damage across the board as this game grows later. But with that dragon, they still find themselves at a gold deficit as they are down a kill. But it's not much, right? It's 600 gold. It's a couple pairs of boots, right? It's the finished Berserker Greaves, a little less than 4 triple lift. So we'll have to see if that's enough. There's a lot of damage in the bottom lane for Slurps and Machuca, and a lot of attack speed for triple lift. So we'll have to see. Does speed beat power down there?
All depends on that juicy hook landing or not. The concussive blow right now is really more of a defensive tool. I think as a whole, if you're the Aphelios Braum, you just really want to farm it out. Oh,
Ooh, the Unleashed Power comes through. Not going to find enough damage just yet, but your move. I thought your move was going to look for a scat of the week there from downtown, but Firesong able to get away from that one. Now hooked up is Slurps underneath the turret. The Flay comes through as well. Machuca going to step forward with the Unbreakable. Looks for the stuns of his own. Not able to find it in triple lift. Just moving forward, not afraid. Drops the rend, and 20% HP on the support means he has to walk away.
yep, there's the punish in the early game that you just expect coming out of Kalista. The wave constantly shoving hook. Gonna whiff by a small margin, but the safety here in the bot lane is slowly wearing thin right now for Slurps and Machuca. Overall, CS seems to be pretty on par. When we toggle over to gold, it's almost dead even, both 80 carries at 3,100. So clearly, this isn't really where you're going to find a big lead from. I am still all eyes peeled on the mid lane. We've got 300 gold as the advantage right now for your move on the Syndra. Just picked up the final chapter as well, so there is a bit of a disparity when we talk about burst damage.
Yeah, and since we're talking about this, a small lead growing for the Horizon in the top lane, and I'm not sure if it's because he's been getting the better half of the trades, or if it's just, and as I say that, he does get the better half of that one for now, is the jungler is here. Call of the Forge God as well. Horizon going to find the knockup on JLU, but may just get run down. Ragnarok is on, and Greggy finds the kill. Horizon will fall.
Very nice timing from Greggy, swooping in at the perfect opportunity. Now gonna get... Ooh, okay.
Ooh, the Cataclysm after the flash to follow. Greggy cannot get out. The shutdown now going over to Firesong, and JLU wants more. Nice finds a double stun, and Silent Carry is here to find the kills. They manage to pick up the jungler as Judge Grudge goes down. Firesong looks to kite himself away. He's got that phase rush as he moves through. But they're going to have that movement speed here. The flash forward, not going to find the hook. Unfortunately, Machuca is here to make sure to escort his mid laner to safety. Will we see the stun from downtown?
Oh,
again! Your move, the Unleashed Power, and that's the kill sent to the Shadow Realm. I said I would do it, and your move finds the kill. A solo-ish kill as his support went back to the base, but what a turnaround, or what a turnout as a whole for Team Solid.
Yeah, there you go. Your move, putting in the work on this Syndra, has the ultimate in the back pocket and is able to cash it out for some good gold. Overall, the side of Team Solid has really been active when it comes to this early game. Even the jungler Greggy here on the Olaf cannot quite keep up with it. Right now, though, he does find himself an opportune moment. After that skirmish, you expect your opponents to just shove out waves and go back, and this is sort of the right timing to go for one of these sneaky little Rift Heralds. We'll have to see how much gold it actually does gain for the side of Team Solid, but at the moment, they could start seeing themselves getting towards the 3,000 gold mark if they play their cards right.
Absolutely. The Rift Herald, like you were saying, it's got an X on the value because it could either be the 100 gold that you get just for taking it down, or...
Also, he didn't pick it up. So,
Wow.
I just saw it expire on my screen. That's all right. He just wanted the EXP, bro.
And the 100 gold. So there it is. They fill in the X with the 100 gold for taking down the Rift Herald. And it's so easy to do that as Firesong gets caught out there. He's maybe typing or something as he took quite a bit of damage. Unleashed Power not available for your move. Also doesn't have the flash because he used it aggressively. So we'll have to see if they can make a return play, as it looks like Judge Grudge wants to come down on the
Ooh,
bottom side.
smooth.
Does have that Cataclysm, but underneath the turret is too scary as Ignite comes down. Machuca forced to run away.
Oh,
Now
I
Slurp
like
trying to trade
this.
it back. There's the Fate's Call, though, coming out. The Moonlight Cinder going to find a bit of damage, but it's going to be enough. Greg is here. They do get the shutdown, but Slurps will fall. And nice ultimate from Machuca means they may be able to get away. He's forced to flash. The Cataclysm comes through, but it's just going to lock up 2 members as the double kill goes through. And in the mid lane, Your Move found the solo kill onto Fire Song. So right now, everything coming crashing down for Los Payasos.
Yeah, and everything for Team Solid bending in just the right way you want it to. Mid lane, now starting to swing for your move. Bot lane, it was a beautiful counter gank, actually, from Greggy on the Olaf. Not even the ridiculous Aphelios damage could really compete with the playmaking coming out. And this is a perfect opportunity to really cash in. If only Tanner, there was a Rift Herald to capitalize as well. But we'll have to settle for the huge amount of tower plating gold that your move has gotten for herself, as well as the second Drake of the game, this one being an Ocean, and tying us up 1 apiece.
Yeah, now you've got Mountain Drake for the rest of the game, blessing us with its presence. And
Holy,
gonna feel
what
good
is
as a whole
that?
now. Fire Song 2 levels down, and in one combination, Your Move chunks about 60% of his health. I love that
That's
Team
good.
Solid, they had to answer back after leaving that Rift Herald with huge plays, and then they were able to do just that, right? Greggy's like,
Yeah.
I'm giving up the top side. I lost the Rift Herald, so I'm going to go down bottom and pick up a couple of kills for myself as he looks to do it again. The hook lands from Silent Carry, who hasn't been so silent, right? 104 made his way up into the top side, picked up a kill and a couple of assists there. So he's definitely been loud this game. And this could be first brick on the bottom side if they do manage to pull off this gank.
It's a very sneaky one right here. You've got the jungler actually sitting in the brush, but look at all the respect being given right now here in the bot lane. Slurps and Machuca, they're perfectly fine. Just plopping their butts right here near the minion wave. How
Oh, it lands through the minion, and Greggy is
What?
still here. Will they find the damage? Machuca trying to run away. He's got the Unbreakable up underneath the turret. The Rend is there, though, as Triple Lift picks up the kill, but a nice double kill traded back from Slurps. Turns the fight around, and up top, Call of the Forge God comes through. Judge Grudge is here. They do find the knockup onto JLU,
my
and he will
gosh.
fall. The Horizon picks that one up, and just like that, Los Payasos strike back.
Yeah, 2 disgusting champions right now in the hands of the Payasos. The top lane Ornn, where you could see, kept the Maokai airborne for quite a while. Down there in the bot lane, it was the big cannon that was the Aphelios, able to turn it into a favorable trade nonetheless. And there we have it, a bit of striking back coming out from Payasos. They're not able to actually get any towers off of it. So first brick gold, still very much a proposition for Team Solid. And right now you're really looking at the mid lane. That final tower is sitting on like sub 200 HP, so it's looking ripe for the pick and Tanner.
Yeah, and Your Move just playing so
Oh.
aggressive. The Unleash power is enough to find the kill on a killing spree. This Syndra cannot be stopped. Level 11. And as you said, looking to take that turret. One more auto attack should do it, and it'll grow this gold lead from the already 2,000 or just shy of 2,000 in favor of Team Solid. And it looks like it's going to take the whole team to
jeez.
get it done here.
All right, slows applied, and that's going to be the flag and drag away. Hook doesn't land. And a bit of reprieve for
Yeah.
Payasos. I say that, but at the same time, I just caster cursed him, didn't I?
Maybe. He's forced to use the flash, so he stays safe for now as Triple Lift drops the Pierce. Not going to find the rest of the damage to follow up. But yeah, 5 members strong. They do manage to take
Yeah.
the tier 1. Now a 3,000, or just shy of a 3,000 gold lead in favor of Team Solid, and they want more here.
Like you said, 5 members strong and just coming out in full force. It feels like a switch was flipped 30 seconds ago, and everyone on the side of Team Solid just said, okay, cool, let's just play up. Let's just find as many fights as possible. They didn't actually get any, but boy, did they gain a lot of ground off of it. They've been able to sweep out some of the pink wards, place a bit of their own, and at the moment, man, things are looking very bright for Team Solid. I think you really got to give credit. I mean, your move must be a world champion player at Where's Waldo, because he keeps finding the R key time and time again. It's actually insane.
Yeah, and just having enough damage, right? And maybe a little bit of disrespect or not knowing just how strong this Syndra is. It is a little weird. He's got the electrocute, but still ended up going with the GLP here. Finds the slows. Typically, you see that, right, with the glacial augment. So maybe they're not necessarily thinking that one R key is just going to delete your entire health bar. So a little bit of mind games in this build as they find the slow onto Machuca. Not going to find the stun, unfortunately, but they should be able to find the kill. That one does go the way of your move as Triple Lift finds another one. Unfortunately, Judge Grudge looked for the steal, but unfortunately only found demise. Fire Song forced to flash away. The hook comes through, not going to land. Just barely getting away with the sliver of HP. The flash blown as well. On the bottom side, Horizons does manage to get a turret, but what is he going to lose in return?
Well, push definitely underway here for Team Solid. They found an opening, took out the enemy jungler, did actually, or rather didn't pick up the Rift Herald, but that hook is going to spell very good things.
Yeah, Moonlight Sigil on the back line, trying to find the damage, but it's not enough. The support will fall in his face as Slurps has no answer. The Forge God now coming down, but it's a 4v5. This might not be it. Silent Carry goes in off the back end of the Kalista ultimate, and they're just finding the damage. Slurps now on a killing spree, though, on the back line, able to find a couple of kills for himself as they do manage to halt this push. And previous to this fight, I said Judge Grudge found nothing, but he actually found himself a Rift Herald, and that's why he died. So now we have to make sure that it's not in vain, right? That Rift Herald needs to find some value somewhere to propel his team back towards breaking even in this game.
The timing isn't right, but you would have loved to see the Rift Herald placed on a different side of the map, and then the dragon started perhaps by Los Payasos, but they're not even given an inch here. Finally into the river they go, but the dragon's already taken.
Yeah, right in onto your move, but the health bars are not on their side. Machuca gets taken low. He is not going to fall as he flashes away to stay safe. Greggy stuck in the pit, but, I mean, look at it. 3 members so very low. This could be the turnaround. It looks like Team Solid just going to let them walk out of this one. Low HP bars in hand, but, I mean, Los Payasos biting off a little more than they could chew there, right?
No kidding. Yeah, they walk in very willingly onto that dragon. Thankfully, both teams didn't really want to opt into another big skirmish, so it didn't happen favorably for Los Payasos, because this is a game where you really need to scale in. We saw around that team fight, around the inhibitor for Payasos, where this backline duo, once again, we talked about in the pick and ban phase, this is one of the highest DPS backline duos, the Cassiopeia and the Aphelios. If they're given the opportunity, they really can start to shine. But right now, your tanks are looking a little less glamorous than you would want them to be. You still don't have a real completed item for the Braum. Yes, you're starting to see Judge Drudge start to opt towards this, I believe, Gargoyle Stoneplay, but let's hope it comes in time.
Yeah, Machuca going forward, not able to find the ultimate on the knockup, and your move immediately deletes Fire Song. 2 members down as they still continue to look for a fight in a 2v3. Silent Carry just going to run down the junglers. Your move taken down low, and he will fall. The shutdown going over to the Horizon. He is so very tanky as the teleport comes through underneath the turret.
Wow.
They do not care. They find the hook. They find the kills. Triple Lift unstoppable with the double kill, and just like that, they manage to turn it around.
And this is a prime opportunity to go for a Baron. We talked about their objective control. They got the Ren to rely on, the Reckless Swing, as well as just flat out Smite on its own. With the Bear inhibitor in the mid lane, this is just about as good as Team Solid's. Great play up in the top side to really force the issue and find themselves a beneficial fight, and they're about to reap the rewards.
Yeah, Los Payasos, they're trying to find their way back into the game, but it doesn't seem like they understand that fighting over and over again is just not going to be it. As Machuca gets locked up, JLU goes over the wall as finally we see the Glacial Fissure comes through. Unfortunately, defensively this time, and it does buy him some time in order to save his life this time around. But Machuca just really, I mean, W-keying forward here, looking for every possible fight. We're only 20 minutes into this game. It's still going to take some time, right, for this Los Payasos squad to come online. Are they? I mean, they need to take it easy here, wouldn't you think?
No kidding. Yeah, they absolutely do, Tanner. And the question is, how do you start to put the brakes on this game when you've got a Baron inhibitor? The enemy team just secured Baron, and when we talk about damage, heck yeah, do they have a lot of it? They've even got the tanks to facilitate a dive. So this is really a storm that could be hitting the side of Payasos in a matter of minutes. It's all up to them to really start to work around the map, try and find ways to play around pressure points and buy as much time as possible. But we're going to get a siege coming in inevitably. It looks like it's starting to formulate down the bot side with a split push of the Syndra into the top. Obviously, if you're your move on the Syndra, you certainly do have to be careful because there's still catch potential for Payasos, and you're hoping they realize it very soon.
Yeah, it is scary for your move to be alone, but in a 1v1 or maybe even a 1v2, I think he still comes out on top as the tier 1 goes down on the bottom side. Machuca gets caught out again. Call the Forge God comes through, but it's just too late. Triple lift. Now godlike in this game as Judge Grudge flashes away, but it doesn't matter. The double kill will go through as Silent Carry will follow up. The nice play onto Slurps as they net the kill. Horizon is tanky, but not tanky enough.
Oh
the
my
triple
God.
kill for triple lift, and the siege continues.
Another big spree for Triple Lift to go wild on, and this looks like the finishing touches to game one. Petrifying Gaze able to lock up. Actually, the Syndra is not traded, so that's the survival for Firesong. And you're hoping he can buy another 5 or 10 seconds. Judge Grudge coming in 5. The mid inhibitor once again demolished, and now it's onto the bot.
Yeah, and instead of biting off more than they can chew and looking for the end of the game here, they're just going to open up the rest of the base as a couple of members are now spawning back onto the Rift. The ultimates are available as a nice Cataclysm onto 2. There's the Glacial Fissure, but Triple Lift on the back line just shredding through the health bars. Slurps manages to get one in return, but a double kill to start things off here for Triple Lift. And now there may not be another answer back into the fight, but for now, the siege has been halted.
Yeah, 2-for-1 trade that goes in favor of Team Solid, but by no means is this game decided, just because of the fact that, once again, high potential for the backline of Los Payasos to really start to carry this game. They have the tanks to buy themselves enough time. Now it's just about maneuvering around. Hook doesn't land, Dragon started, and we might just go back to fighting once again, Tanner.
Yeah, there's no jungler here, and there are essentially 2 smites available for Team Solid, so maybe not a fight you want to pick as Firesong taking down dangerously. He does have the shield there as Slurps manages to pick up the kill. Now the rest of the squad for Team Solid forced to retreat. Call the Forge God gonna find Triple Lift. He flashes forward. He goes golden to stay alive as the Horizon finds himself stuck in the middle of 3, but Slurps finds 1,000 gold shutdown for himself. Greggy trying to run him down the Severum, keeping him alive in a double kill for the Aphelios, and just like that, Los Payasos are back in the game.
Yeah, and fortune really coming in favor of the side of Los Payasos. The potential completely realized. Firesong able to eat up all of that unleashed power from your move on the Syndra and still walk out alive. You had Slurps able to capitalize on some of the great playmaking from picks like Horizon on the Ornn. And really, when it all comes together, it looks fantastic. Once again, both compositions make tons of sense. It's not like it's just all in the early game for the side of Team Solid. They're putting in the work, but as of right now, that insane late game that we were alluding to back at the pick and ban phase could start to get closer and closer to an actual reality for Payasos.
The Molten Edge completed for Slurps, and I mean, he has been an absolute madman. Not necessarily winning these 5v5 team fights, right? But on the back of that siege, manages to pick up a kill, and then pushing into that Dragon Pit, picks up a couple and 1,000 gold shutdown as we see Machuca getting caught out again. The undertow for the slow. He does have the stand behind me to try and stay safe. Golden Aegis to try and buy some space as they look to turn it around. Judge Grudge, though, going in. He finds a double knockup as the teleport comes through, but they may have bit off more than they can chew. A nice ultimate going to come through and keep Silent Carry alive for now. Greggy finds a kill onto the jungler, but it's up to Slurp from the back line, pumping out the damage. Slurp shut down Triple Lift, and there may not be another way back in. Call of the Forge God going to split the team up for now as they look to hunt down Silent Carry. They do have the Blast Cone available. It is going to be used by Slurps as he will walk over a ward now, dominating on this Aphelios 12-4. And even in the sloppy fights, Los Payasos managed to find some kills on the backside.
And holy cow, Tanner, this feels like way back in Season 4, where AD carries are actually the stars of the show here.
Yeah.
Both AD carries really coming out clutch. I think you have to give so much respect over to Slurps now, especially on the Aphelios. His decision-making when it comes to guns as well. Obviously, part of it is just wicked timing for when he had the Infernum available, but boy, did he deliver on the actual potential of that one, and that's what's making this such a close game. Now, we have a situation where Inhibitor is going to come back up very soon for Payasos. It's just a couple more seconds from actually coming back up. And at that point, you're almost at an even playing field. Sure, gold is still in favor of Team Solid, but you're still comfortable walking into your opponents just because the Ornn is starting to scale like a madman to ornament items as well. He's building full tank as usual, and this is going to give a lot of luxury over to Slurps that you don't want him to have if you're the side of Team Solid.
And now at 12-4, he's actually got the item advantage over his counterpart and chose to go defensively. He's got the Merc Tread, so not as much AP damage coming through. Also going to stop some of that CC or reduce some of that CC. And if you look at the squad for Team Solid, they have a really strong composition. They're still up 6,000 gold, but who can get back to Slurps? You have to not only run through the team, a turret, but then you have to try and touch Slurps, and there's just no ways. He got the exhaust, he has his flash up now, so this next fight is really going to be a huge deciding factor as Baron is up.
Oh no,
Got 10 members.
please be careful.
In the mid lane, triple lift looking for the engage. They do find one onto Solid Carry. They got the flay back into the Cataclysm though as Slurps flashes away, trying to stay safer now. Nobody has fallen as Horizon just going to run down the back line. He's not tanky enough. He will get shredded in the face of 5. He goes golden to stay alive for a moment longer as Triple Lift picks that one up, but the rest of the squad is there as Team Solid looks to retreat. A nice hook onto Machuca. No ultimates available means Los Payasos will be forced to retreat with the top laner dead. Baron now next on the table here for Team Solid.
Yeah, and Tanner, this is the absolute right move you have to be doing right now for Team Solid. You get a one-man advantage. You're 30 minutes into the game. The timers are starting to rack up, and this is a perfect opportunity to take advantage of that man advantage and go for the Baron. You've got goalkeeping from your move. The Unleashed Power coming out, but it's going to be returned. Baron gone down as well, and it's still, you got to feel like the side of Team Solid coming out on top.
Yeah, Slurps finds the solo-ish kill as his support was there just moments after that fight kicked off. But you still, as you said, you lose the Baron. I think what this does give you is that small ray of hope now that our AD carry is stronger than their AP carry.
Right.
Your move, still a problem, but is not the same Syndra that we saw in the first 20 minutes of the game.
Absolutely. Not the same problem. Doesn't have the same oomph to it. And right now, Payasos feeling much more comfortable. They've gone all the way up to that 3 dragon mark. So potentially if they go for a big steal, or if they're just gifted the next dragon, that could completely flip the context of how this game has been going so far. First things first is the Baron push that's inevitably going to come out from Team Solid. And honestly, if I'm Team Solid, I might have a couple worries. If you recall, the last time there was a Baron push, actually, the only thing that happened was an extra tower went down there in the bot lane. But aside from that, it was Payasos still clutching it out, able to hold on by the skin of their teeth off of some good play from Firebong, and that's what gave them enough time. If they give themselves a little bit more time, they could just flat out end up winning the game due to the Drake Soul.
Yeah, it's all going to come down to execution at this point and who can keep their AD carry alive as the siege has started into the mid lane. The Baroned up minions with 5 members strong from Team Solid. They're just going to play Protect the President a little bit as the cannon minion bangs down the inhibitor. But, I mean, this is really, we've seen Los Payasos just pull the trigger. They are not scared. Moonlight
Oh,
Vigil
no kidding.
down. They find the roots, and here comes the engage. Call the Forge God is going to find triple lift as Horizon flashes forward, but he's got no help for now. Your move on the backside finds a beautiful stun onto 3.
Big damage.
But it doesn't matter because Slurps is shredding. He is legendary as he finds a double kill. The GA is going to be popped, but this surely will be the triple for the 80 carry. And Los Payasos are not done yet. 3 for 0 in favor as they siege the mid lane.
Oh, they are on a roll. They're having a good time, and it's all thanks to Slurps. What an insane amount of damage potential coming out from Slurps on the Aphelios. Once again, started it off this time around with the Graviton, but that splash damage coming through. Opted for the Runaan's Hurricane, had the Molten Edge in his inventory, and he really just went to town. The trade so far has been, I believe, 1 tower for the inhibitor that Triple Lift was able to secure for his team, but this push is still going on for the side of Payasos.
Yeah, looking to match the mid lane inhibitor push as the turret is down. They do find a hook, and there's the kill as Your Move finds a solo onto Judge Grudge. Unfortunately, the Jarvan not tanky enough. The teleport comes through his Fire Song, joining the fight as Silent Carry finds yet another hook. Now, Triple Lift flanking from the enemy base as he did manage to take out that mid lane inhibitor, but with 4 members, Los Payasos should be able to retreat and buy some time and look for another way. Now, we talked about Slurps, his guns, his availability, his selection. Right now, probably not the best to team fight, so they definitely need to be buying time before the next one.
Yeah, got to send Slurps over to some of those side lanes to get rid of the less optimal guns. The Dragon coming up in around 2 minutes, but the side of Team Solid are already on the case. For what was an extremely controlled game, they are starting to lose their grip, and I think the real difficulty is they probably feel like they're hitting a mental block right now. They had the goal lead. They've been executing team fights. It's just been better executed from some members of Los Payasos. Unfortunately, Firebong here.
Oh, maybe caught out. The GA is on as he is trying to kite away from Greggy, but he flashes forward and Triple Lift finds the kill. Now the GA still available as Silent Carry going to be thrown into the fray. Judge Grudge going to go down as well. He pops a Gargoyle Storm Plate, but he gets hooked up and taken down. Now, Legendary is Slurps, but it doesn't matter because the rest of the team is falling. They have to get back to the base to try and protect. No minions pushing through. Incredibly difficult right now for Los Payasos. They should be able to defend. Call the Forge God. Moonlight Vigil going to go.
Slurps.
Members, they find the damage, but can they follow up? Machuca is here. He does have that Glacial Fissure. Can he keep his 80 carry alive? The J going to be popped for Triple Lift as he will fall and resurrect. Now Slurps is legendary as they look for another kill. The Lantern is there to stay alive for now, but it doesn't matter. The shutdown.
Wow.
Slurps finds another. Greggy, the only remaining member from Team Solid.
Tanner, it keeps happening time and time again, but I'm still surprised. How the heck does Slurps keep clutching this out? I don't even care if Payasos wins this game. The first ban of next game should be the Aphelios away from Payasos. Slurps is a monster. He's been delivering even when you don't expect him to, and at this point, it almost feels like the game should be going over to Payasos. They've been consistently winning out on team fights when even at advantageous situations. Think about the positioning of Slurps at the beginning of that team fight, a flanking Aphelios. Not what I call optimal, but Slurps possibly thinking differently.
And now the squad has the extra shield from the Mountain Soul. Not to, discredit the 3 Mountain Drakes on your Jarvan, on your Ornn, on your Braum. You have so many resistances, extra resistances. The Horizon, sure, he dies if he jumps in 1v5, but it takes so long to kill him, and buying that time is everything that Slurps needs. And I mean, look at his health bar. He's almost got a second health bar in shields as they start to posture around this Baron. This could be the game-ending team fight.
Very well could be, and at this point, it's like so much agency has just been ripped out of the hands of Team Solid. Some of those big playmakers are going to find it so much harder to actually shape the game in their favor. You think about the Syndra or the Callisto. Well, with these extra shields from the Mountain Drake, someone like a Syndra who's used to just landing a combo and getting tons of value out of it, that edge is going to be dulled massively. Same goes for the Callista when she does a crazy play, like flashing forward, getting as much value out of possible as with the Rune Dance. This time around, it's looking like it's just the desperation play, as inhibitors were still in favor for Team Solid. They're going to be able to secure this without a hitch with the Rend. And that's once again Baron has the advantage, but by no means is this a game tipped in favor for Team Solid. They still have a rough road ahead of themselves.
Yeah, that is an interesting play, as Horizon had his teleport, chose to use it after the Baron was gone. And I mean, you know that they're on it, right? They've snuck, or I guess not necessarily snuck, but just taken 3 Barons or 2 Barons at that point for free. As now the fight may come through. Call the Forge guys here. Your move actually
not again.
into the base. Fire Song is going to get caught out and find himself in the middle of 4 as he will fall. Triplet picks that one up, but the recalls come through. A nice play. So they sacrifice the mid laner for the rest of the squad to defend the base, as your move was looking to end the game there.
Yeah, and man, oh man, Fire Song, unfortunately getting caught out once again. This puts Team Solid in favor when Drake Soul is obviously in the hands of Payasos. Nice start up right there, and Slurps is on the case.
Yeah, Moonlight Vigil going to lock down Triple Lift. There's the Glacial. I mean, it doesn't even matter. Before I can get a word out, Triple Lift is dead. The hooks come through, but Silent Carry will fall. A double kill for the 80 carry as JLU forced to run. And, I mean, it's a broken record at this point in the game. Triple kill for Slurps, but it looks like Syndra, again, looking to push on the backside. And is it going to be enough?
Well, Horizon sent to answer this split push coming out from the Syndra, and it's looking like a phenomenal answer. Actually, this could just be the end of the game for Payasos.
Yeah, Los Payasos just sieging down the mid lane. They've got the minions, they've got the tanks, and can they stop the recalls? They are still Baroned up, so 2 members will make it back to the base.
Mid jungle.
In time. Greggy is here with your move, trying to deal the damage. Both Nexus turrets are down. Greggy will fall as well. Your move gets deleted by Slurps, and just like that, Los Payasos find a chink in the armor and take game 1.
And have yourself a game, Slurps. Just on fire performance coming out from the back line of Felios. We pegged Payasos to have the bigger potential when it comes to backline carry, but I don't know if anyone really expected 24 in 4 to be the last scoreline for Slurps. The amount of reversal plays he pulled out was insane. The setup, some of the tank play in particular, I think really Machuca on the Braum, Horizon on the Ornn are the unsung heroes in this game. But the big damage, the big trophy, the gold medal, that goes over to Slurps for me.
Yeah, Slurps absolutely really just pulling ahead. And I think one of the attributing factors, not only his team around him and him playing the Aphelios, he had exhaust. So anytime anybody that was in, putting any kind of pressure on him or creating any kind of danger, he's able to just drop the exhaust and immediately win the fight, right? Even when he's going toe-to-toe with Triple Lift, who I believe at the time was 13-3 or 13-4. Slurps hadn't had the kills yet, but he had the exhaust to make the fight even. And then just the tools alone from Aphelios, so huge. Not only did he pump out the damage, find all the kills, but even as the 80 carry, finding the engage, right? He had that one fight in the mid lane where he tossed out his ultimate, and with the Gravitum locked up like 3 or 4 members, and then they were able to find an engage on the back end of that, right? It was all done before Call of the Forge God, and I mean, he played this champion very well. And not that it's, not easy when you're this far ahead, but Aphelios, he's a very, very difficult champion to be able to maneuver because you only have so many options, right? You can literally just right click away and use your flash if you're in danger, and he's able to do that perfectly.
No kidding. Does it perfectly. I mean, like you said, difficult champion, the selection of the guns and all. But boy, oh boy, was that one heck of a game and even when you think back to the amount of pressure that the bot lane here for Payasos received in the bot lane, Tanner, the reasons just stack on top of each other of a good argument for why you might want to ban Aphelios in the next game.
Absolutely. Los Payasos take game number 1 in this 3-game series. Now we'll have to see the changes that are made from both teams moving into game number 2, as Team Solid had a solid chance at winning early in this game, lost it late. But we are going to take a short break before we jump there. But when we come back, we'll have picks and bans for game number 2.
Find your way into this wonderland. Cross the maze, the dark, the innocent. Chase the fate, the thrill, the heaven sent. I got you wild upside down. The labyrinth will guide you far away to a place where senses will decay. Your ghost and mind will shadow play. I got you wild upside down. Upside down. Find your way into this wonderland. Cross the maze, the dark, the innocent. Chase the fate, the thrill, the heaven sent. I got you wild upside down. The labyrinth will guide you far away to a place where senses will decay. Your ghost and mind will shadow play. I got you wild upside down.
welcome back. Here shortly, we will have picks and bans for game number 2 between Los Payasos, who took game number 1 against Team Solid. My name is Tanner Metro, and today I am joined again by the one, the only Switch. And what an amazing game 1 we had between these two squads.
Man, Tanner, you're not joking on that one. If you're just joining us, well, it was a bit of a slobber knocker. Went all the way to, I believe, almost hitting that 40-minute mark, but it was excitement. It was action. It was bloody throughout the entire thing. One thing is for certain, though, and that's probably going to be an Aphelios ban that I'm tailoring for the side of Team Solid. If you looked at any one of those big team fights, it was shaped by Slurps on the Aphelios 80 carry. Big shout out to him. Actually, you mentioned it early on as the game was ending, but he opted for the exhaust, I believe, which makes so much sense when you're playing against a Callista because of how aggressive Callista plays when she's trying to clean up the rest of the fight. One quick exhaust, you out DPS her, and this is part of the reason why Slurps was just constantly making plays happen.
It was absolutely the Slurp show, but we can't forget who was there for him when he needed them most, right? He had 3 huge tanky frontline members, Horizon on the Ornn, Judge Grudge on the J4, and Machuca on the Braum, which, I mean, early in the game, as you would expect, things looked kind of scary, right? Machuca was getting
Yeah.
caught out. We even saw Fire Song caught out a few times, and they weren't necessarily able to find it. But then once they started to work together around that Aphelios, they were really able to get it done. And it was, you know, Team Solid at, 27 minutes in the game, just running into a brick wall over and over and over again. They just didn't have an answer, and they had no way to get back to that Aphelios.
Yeah, it's a really good way of putting it, Tanner, because they got 2 Barons that game. Inhibitors exposed at that point, and they really got nothing in return for it. They never actually cashed out on the value of that Baron. And when we talk about something like a mental block, I'm so sure that that's what was hitting Team Solid throughout the last portions of that game. You even had some of these wild calls, like sending the Syndra to try and base race for the end of the game. It didn't work out, unfortunately, and right now it's probably back to the drawing board for the side of Team Solid. They had a wicked early game, but it's one of the difficult problems about how it all went down is they had basically the game in their hands and they couldn't close it out, and that's quite demoralizing.
They couldn't close it out, but we are jumping into picks and bans, and we'll have to see what changes are made. Those Payasos staying tried and true, hovering that Galio takeaway, and we'll have to see, does Team Solid immediately ban? Nope, doesn't look like the Aphelios is off the board just yet.
Yeah, well, I say, ban Aphelios as if it's written in stone. Technically, you could also leave 2 OPs open. I'm thinking maybe something like an Ornn and an Aphelios. You let Payasos pick which one they want, and then you take the other because Team Solid is on the red side. But we'll have to keep an eye on that one. I don't know if I would even feel comfortable trading any other champion for Aphelios and giving Aphelios over to Payasos. Then there's the ban.
Yes, there is the ban. It was just such, I mean, it was the answer to the entire early game that, put Los Payasos behind. They were even down in gold at the end of the game after winning. I think it was like 69K to 66K. So
That's wild.
yeah, the Aphelios was their way to claw their way back in. But now taken off the board, we'll have to see what Slurps wants to be put on, as the Hecarim going to be taken away from Greggy, who has been spamming that in solo queue. But I personally don't think he played too bad on the Olaf. I think that was a fantastic pick for him.
For sure. I think mid-jungle duo of Team Solid looked just about as promising as you could ask for. And I think this is, once again, another point you have to play around. Possibly, if I were the side of Team Solid, I would try and secure a good jungler early on that scales marvelously into the rest of the game. Save that mid laner for last pick, just so that you get a good matchup between, of course, Fire Song and Your Move. And hopefully Your Move can take advantage of a bit of snowball of his own.
Yes, Set going to be the first champion locked in. We saw it banned away last game, but Mordekaiser left on the board this time around as well. So a couple of power picks coming through. And I mean, we saw the tank matchup. Now we get to see the bruiser brawler in your face top lane trying to do the damage this time around. And we'll have to see if JLU, Jesus Loves You, or the Horizon can put their carry pants on.
Oh man, that's a JLU. It is. Yep. Alrighty then. Set as the first pick. I mean, this is just a good, well-designed champion. I can't tell you how many times. I mean, he's been nerfed countless times, but I can't tell you still how many times I see one-sided trades coming out from this set. It's just the way his kit is designed, where sometimes when you really have leverage over your opponents, you just hammer it in on them. The response from Team Solid has been the Mordekaiser and the Olaf. All right, Mordekaiser is certainly a pick that I don't see too often. It's very conditional, and I think this might be the right time to break it out.
Yeah, I don't see why not. It is the second most played for JLU, and it's a powerhouse, right? Especially when we think back to game number 1, where not that the tanks weren't a problem, but Slurps was the real problem. There's no way to reach back and touch this guy, and
Yeah.
he was just throwing damage out like a madman. Now, Mordekaiser, he may lose the 1v1 in situations like that, but at the very least, he can buy some time that the carry wouldn't be in that fight for the rest of the
Right.
squad to try and win the 4v4. So I think it's a nice pickup. As I said, he's going to be comfortable on that. But now they're looking at the Zyra Khan. So a complete turnaround here. And the Lovers duo just so very strong as a whole. And the playmaking doesn't stop, right? Thresh was a huge playmaker in that last game. Braum was a huge playmaker in that last game. Now Rakan going to supplement that even more here for Machuca.
Yeah, wicked good playmaking. Some of those lanterns saving the skin of Slurps on the Aphelios and allowing him to clutch out some of those team fights. This time, the Lovers duo. I actually like it. You sort of give back a bit of that early game playmaking potential into the hands of this Los Payasos bot lane. I think they will actually do really good work with it. And even if they get camped hard, you at least have a lot of mobility coming out from the Rakan. But for Team Solid, it's been picking up the Thresh. They're getting Marksman banned out, which makes a lot of sense. I think if you're Los Payasos, you want to play around the bot side. Team Solid, on paper, actually, I believe they have... Yeah, if you aggregate the rank of their bot lane, it's technically higher. I feel like it's just a player like Slurps that has such a high ceiling.
A very high ceiling at that, as his champion is locked in and they take away, you know, a couple of those pesky bottom laners. The Callista Misfortune taken away, and as we look back to the mid lane, Echo and Zed
Ooh.
off the board, as the Vayne is going to be locked in for triple lift, and we'll have to see if he can be tried and true and really pop off. This carry is one that, I mean, it is just that. And supplementing him is the silent carry back on the Thresh. He was insane last game. Even in the loss, looked so good, was hitting hooks like a madman,
Yeah.
plays on the back end of everything. An incredible pick.
Yeah, are you kidding me? I mean, just hook after hook after hook. It was mind-boggling just to see it all go down. And the Vayne alongside it. Vayne's a big gamble, so I don't know how I feel. But hey, as long as you're able to kite out some of the people like Set, I mean, one of Set's biggest flaws is being kited out. So theoretically, the Vayne could function properly, but this is where Payasos are able to mix in a bit of their own playmaking. They're going to put down the Shockwave possibly in some of these team fights consistently.
And there is a lot of possibilities when it comes to ball delivery, right? You put Judge Grudge back on the Jarvan duty, the Cataclysm duty, and then you just throw in the ball on top of that and drop the Shockwave. You've got Set as well as Rakan. There are a lot of answers for this. Now, Team Solid kind of taking a page out of the Los Payasos book, locking in the Cassiopeia. The Syndra is banned away, so now we're going to get to see your move, try and show Fire Song how it's done on the Snake Queen here, this Medusa Queen in that Calista. Now, I say that, but again, flex picks and all that stuff, I always go too deep, and then it's going to be like Mordekaiser mid or something like that. But I'm assuming your move will be on this Cassiopeia.
I would like it to be that way. The
Right.
Cassiopeia versus the Orianna. At the very least, even if Cassiopeia does fall behind, she can sort of ramp up in damage, and you could start potentially winning out some of these extended 1v1s. Orianna's power is mostly put into her Shockwave. as well as her ability to shield some of her allies. She's sort of the all-around control mage pick that you love to have on your team. While on the other hand, Cassiopeia, the high skill ceiling, the amount of DPS she pumps out, this could be another good game coming out from Euramove, who was by no means lackluster last game, was constantly getting picks on the Syndra, constantly delivering, with snowballing through the mid lane and making it a very one-sided matchup. This time around, I love the pickup where you're going to give a lot more scaling into your move's favor. You're shifting some of that potential over to the mid side and the bot side, and hopefully you can just ride success through there, right? If this lineup snowballs, this is just an insane amount of true damage that could be coming out from the side of Team Solid, and no matter what tank comes in, they are going to get melted very quickly.
Absolutely melted. The shred is there, and on top of that, now Team Solid have a bit of that scaling, right? We saw them crest past that mid into the late game and start to fall off. Unfortunately, their picks not having as much impact, but this time around, they're going to have that, right? They've got the Cassiopeia this time around. They've got the Vayne, the Olaf, and the Mordekaiser to help push through that early game, and even Mord can scale well and stay strong and beefy into that late game. And you also don't have to worry about the big juicy tanks anymore. Instead of Ornn, it's Set. The Jarvan, he's going to be tanky. That's not going anywhere. But then instead of Braum, now it's a Rakan who's not going to be as dependable necessarily as a tank for this squad. So just in the picks and bans alone, it's definitely looking like Team Solid have a more complete composition. You know, it's not so, hey, we have to win in under 30 minutes. Now they can also play that late game.
Yep. All the meanwhile, on the flip side of things, Payasos with a, shall we say, more robust composition. They've got a heck of a lot of dive actually going for themselves. This is a very red composition where you're constantly trying to force engages on your terms and your terms alone. If you get a big play like Set with the Showmaker, hopping into the middle of the enemy team, a Shockwave on top of that, you basically just flat out win the team fight. The CC potential is massive. You can get something crazy like a big face breaker into a Shockwave, into a flag and drag, the grand entrance as well coming out from Rakan. It's all there for the pickings. And the best part is the one carry that's not going to be, you know, sort of chipping in when it comes to the CCs is going to be Slurps, focusing on DPS and hopefully just doing another big carry performance if you're a fan of Los Payasos, because that was a Cinderella story in the making, and it was constantly a big shock when you saw Slurps able to clutch out another team fight after another. That's probably what's weighing most on the minds of Team Solid. They have once again another comp that's good at skirmishing. Yes, very much like last game. The question is, are they going to find the snowball? Is the snowball going to be enough? Or even if they don't find the snowball, do they have another avenue of success? Last game, we saw them hitting their heads against the wall, team fighting over and over and over again. They couldn't win through sheer wave manipulation and split pushing alone, and that might be a small worry heading into this next game.
Yeah, we saw them have an incredibly strong early game, and now that they're on these different picks, you're right, they have to, you know, not necessarily run into that same brick wall that they're hitting over and over again. They need to find their detour, right? They need to find their way around it, and I think they need to remember that they do have the late game composition here. They do have the Vayne. It's going to take some time. You know, you can't just necessarily pick every fight because you guys play well in the early game. So I think that is going to be something that they need to remember as a whole, is maybe they take it easy for a little bit. They let Olaf kind of try and run around the squad a little bit, do what he can. And then as the game crests later, unless you're able to find some kills, start to push the pressure forward, keep that momentum going forward. Because we've seen them, I mean, their early game was fantastic. Greggy on the Olaf, we talked about him not necessarily picking up the Rift Herald, unfortunately, but on the back end of, you know, that kind of hiccup, went down, grabbed a double kill, back into the mid lane. They paid so much attention to Slurps trying to shut down the bottom lane, and it was all on the back end of Greggy just as a whole on this Olaf playing so well.
Yeah, you could tell this team just is very strong on the communication side of things. They were orchestrating these plays. It was working out fantastically, and they had the patience. They had the discipline to pull it off as well. If I'm talking about successful early games for Team Solid, which is one of the big hopes for this game in particular, I would love to see early on setting up your top laner for success. That could mean wave manipulation. That could mean coming for ganks that chunk the set in lane, or even just flat out giving a kill over to the Mordekaiser. Because top lane, the nature of top lane is really where if someone gets a lead, they're going to hold on to that, most likely for the rest of laning phase. That is pretty much set in stone. So you're going to want to set that up for the Mordekaiser very early on. The payoff is massive. It's just about putting the right seeds into place for Team Solid.
Yep, and the top lane could be the lane that pushes these teams ahead. But another thing that can push these teams ahead are Kono keyboards. And I want to talk to you guys about Kono keyboard real quick.
Hey.
Because if you're looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals. We all know that. From keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more, our friends at Kono have you covered. Kono works with the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. Kono have been huge supporters of here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools. If you need a new keyboard, check out the Hexgears X1 RGB low profile Bluetooth mechanical keyboard, and you can use the discount code UpsurgeGG for 7% off of your first order. For more information, head over to kono.store to check out all they have to offer. That's KONO.store. Kono, discover amazing products. And with that, we are going to jump to a quick break. But when we come back, we will have game number 2 between Los Payasos and Team Solid.
Stranded in the open, dried out tears of sorrow, lacking all emotion, staring down the barrel, waiting for the final gates to open to a new tomorrow, moving with the motion, following the light that sets me
And we are back. Game number 2 now underway as we step onto the Rift. Team Solid versus Team Los. Or I guess not Team Los, but Los Payasos, where Los Payasos are up a game. This is a 3-game series, and we'll have to see if Team Solid, with the composition changes, can get it done here in game number 2. My name is Tanner Metro, and again, I'm working alongside Switch here, the color caster, who's absolutely killing it. And 5-point stance. We see everything being neutral here again. Are we expecting the same early game? Is Team Solid going to get ahead early and hopefully this time stay ahead?
Well, Tanner, if patterns are anything, this was the same 5-point stance that was last game. So it's going to go in favor of Los Payasos. at the end of the day. But the early game, perhaps Team Solid can once again come out with another powerful one going for themselves. I want to once again take a look at the mid matchup because the masteries here are again a bit contrasting. For your move, it's not the Phase Rush Cassiopeia. Actually, it's going to be the Conqueror Cassiopeia, which is going to give a good mix of extra damage, extra healing as long as she's in combat. And as I say that, speaking of combat, we could get a bit of it thrown into this early game.
Yeah, they spot out Slurps. The hook gonna go wide, unfortunately, but the undertow is there. Greggy running forward, but taking a lot of damage. The Ignite is on. He gets forced to flash away. As the Ignite goes back, Machuca, first blood gonna come through for the jungler. Managed to find one for himself. Slurps is here with Fire Song alongside. The exhaust comes down, and Triple Lift not gonna be as dangerous now as he tumbles forward, tries to find the kill, not gonna get it just yet, and Judge Grudge gonna run him down. Fire Song picks that one up with a silent carry. He's doing just that. He's carrying, and as this game picks up, immediately 2 kills for both squads, but Los Payasos coming out ahead.
Yep. All right. So first kill going over to Los Payasos first and foremost. Second of all, they've gotten a kill a piece onto the mid and the jungle combo. So that's going to be a bit more fearsome when we get to some of those early game skirmishes. But for the side of Team Solid, for all the hard work they put in, they were not able to steal the buff. You get Greggy a little bit ahead when it comes to jungle clear, but it's not going to matter. Both these junglers are going to be a bit behind in the context of a regular game. At the very least, 1 kill going over to Triple Lift on the Vayne. That's going to pay off when it comes to early game spikes. Once you get that Blade of the Ruin King for Vayne, you could really start to have a bit more confidence when it comes to playing around those team fights. As the game settles right on into place, we are seeing a bit of action, I would say, coming out. Greggy trying to secure the Rift Herald early on. He gets shooed away by Fire Song on the Orianna. I have no doubt in my mind that's once again going to be... Oh, yeah, thanks. Once again going to be a mid-focused game where we're going to see junglers constantly shadowing, constantly trying to get a lot of vision secured.
Turret shot comes through. Silent Carry needs to be careful not to step up too much. And now that, 2 kills on each side, things have started to slow down just as a whole. Oh, as I say that, Machuca looks for the engage, but look at these summoner spells that were used across the board, right? Flashes on 1, 2, 3 members for Team Solid, and same across the board. You've got no exhaust on Slurps now, as Judge Grudge looking for something. Flag drag comes through, but the Flay will halt the gank. The teleport coming down, though, as the Orianna will join the fight. Your move is here. Machuca able to get away with the grand entrance, using it as a grand exit, but with 4 members strong, the dragon spawning soon, they can look to posture maybe for some wards, right? They've still got some time on these objectives from coming up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you got a lot more luxury on your hands. This is very early on, and I don't know if committing to a dragon makes a ton of sense, but in Invade, sounds a bit nicer. The hook landing as well down there in the bot lane. Slurp's gonna take a chunk.
Yeah, and inside the jungle, a 2v2.
Whoa!
Oh, Machuca actually picks it up with the Ignite. The smite comes through, and Judge Grudge goes down yet again. Fire Song forced to run away on this Orianna underneath this turret as Your Move takes a turret shot. Twin Fangs are there, the flash forward, the poison, and the kill. But it's going to be a kill and an assist in return for Los Payasos. And now Greggy tries to get out. No knockup available for Machuca as he used it to try and close the gap. So Greggy able to walk away from that one, and we are still all tied up in kills.
Dead even for the most part. This game is certainly full of action. Once again, tons of aggression coming out from Team Solid, but it's being matched blow for blow by Payasos. This is just a great start to the game because Payasos typically they did slump in the first game when it came to the early game, but they're matching for the most part. I like where the gold distribution is now, sort of landing for Team Solid as they have 2 kills on the Cassiopeia. That pays off in absolute dividends. If I had to pick anyone to give early gold to, it would certainly be the Cassiopeia. And look at the confidence from Your Move.
Yeah, just able to punish here as Fire Song forced underneath the turret. The Conqueror coming through. Now Machuca gets caught up. Tries to find the knockup, but a nice tumble. The chunk of damage from the silver-tipped bolts. But everybody's safe for now. Machuca forced to walk away as the exhaust was blown there by Slurps. But wow, that was a lot of damage from this Vayne early in this game.
And it is still on the verge of snowballing right now. Silent carry. Once again, this guy on the Thresh is just so freaking accurate when it comes down to it. Could be setting up for another play.
Yeah, looking forward, finds the Flays. The Feather not going to find the roots. A Silent carry forced to retreat for now, but Slurps taking damage. It's the kill. Triple lift finds it there. Not only has the press the attack, but the silver-tipped bolts, the heal used offensively, and the Dragon secured.
Yeah, Condemn used as the cherry on top. That secures the kill. For triple lift, the Dragon as well. Just a bit of salt on the wound. And overall, this is shaping out to be a great game for Solid just because of the gold distribution alone. 2 kills into the hands of the Cassiopeia. 2 kills, 3 total if you count the bot lane duo. And this is an aggressive bot lane duo already. So you empower them with extra gold, and they are going to make quick work of their opponents. Right now, it's another story where Payasos have got to endure what could be a lot of wrath coming out from Team Solid.
Yeah, the top lane is just as we expected, right? Just going to be on their island until somebody can finally open something up. But Horizon actually getting the better half of this lane so far. He did get a recall to his name, forced to use the teleport, but also up in CS. And it looks like it's just going to grow. Jesus Loves You headed back to the base here. The wave favorable for him. Now Rift Herald on the board. Last game we saw Rift Herald killed, but not taken. So we'll have to see which team decides to take Shelly down and hopefully picks up the eye this time to get some value out of that.
You're hoping so.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Still just a wild play. And you know what? Just because you mentioned that, I'm going to say go back and think about if that Rift Herald actually did get picked up. How different of a game could we have possibly seen? By the way,
Absolutely.
yeah, work being done right now from Judge Drudge. He's doing his due diligence securing this Rift Herald. Looks like there might be a bit of action very soon in the top lane. Like we said, you set up one top laner for success, and it's like you give them an inch, they take a mile type of deal.
As the bot lane's going toe-to-toe. There's the root onto Triple Lift. The knockup is there, and the ignite as well. He takes the lantern, but it's not to safety. It's only to danger, and he will fall. Triple Lift goes down.
Yeah.
And that kill, unfortunately, going over to Machuca.
Yeah, even the lantern a bit awkward, just lining up with the feathers. So quick work onto Triple Lift. Didn't have a time to second guess anything. And this is a blue buff steal, actually. Stronger side of the map. Gotta say, coming out in the top side for Team Solid here as they're able to flex their muscles, make the play happen, and get a small marginal advantage off of that. But still, the bot lane is so gosh darn swingy. I can't believe it. Even after all that, you really don't feel secure for the Vayne until you get a Blade the Ruin King. That allows you to reposition and hopefully avoid getting into one of those situations where you're just lined up for like 3 feathers to come back and hit you.
And where we see a deficit in CS, but Slurps, you know, being a little bit stronger in this lane so far, kind of showing to be stronger. We see the advantage bottom lane for Los Payasos, but mid lane, I mean, your move now all evened up, but has found himself in both games a 2-level lead over Firesong, and on this Cassiopeia could be enough, right? Not that, you know, this champion any better than the Syndra as a whole, but when it comes to carrying and dealing damage, speaking of, Greggy finds Machuca. There's the counter engage. The Cataclysm going to lock up Triple Lift, and Judge will go golden. The Lantern is there to keep the 80 carry
Whoa.
safe, and everybody makes it out alive. Judge Grudge, though, taking a couple auto attacks from Triple Lift. The hook not going to find its mark, as we will find a 4v4 on the bottom side. Your move is here, and he does have the Flash ultimate available. But it looks like everybody able to walk away from this one. So, you know, overall, just a long poke battle.
You can tell both teams very much warmed up for this second game. The reactions are so quick. Another hook coming down, and look at the damage onto Silent Carry.
Ooh, almost to his death. The hook goes through, but the damage to follow from Slurps. The teleport coming down, and there's the third auto attack. Triple Lift finds the kill onto Machuca, and your move teleports down. They've got the Miasma. The Featherstorm is there, trying to drop some aggro there. Stay to safety. The flash from Triple Lift to follow up, and he finds another kill, but Judge Grudge is here, trying to get back. A beautiful flash there by your move, and he's looking for the kill underneath the turrets. The minions are going to be here, but unfortunately, he will fall. The shutdown to Fire Song in the bottom lane for Team Solid, forced to walk away.
Oh, man, this is just some killer playmaking coming out here. Team Solid, they are not messing around. This time they want the early game lead, but it's being matched remarkably well. Once again, from Payasos, they're on point when it comes to these reactions. They're playing it to the best of their abilities, and they're still at a 1,000 gold advantage here. That's how this game has shaked out, or rather, flip side of things, where, you know, Team Solid 1k advantage, but still it's being matched remarkably well. This next dragon up is going to be an Ocean, and then we'll have to see if it's once again going to be another Mountain Drake, which could come into the late game as a very strong buff, or a Cloud Drake, which, you know, gives you a bit of cooldown.
And if we learned anything from game number 1 for Los Payasos, gold doesn't matter. These guys find ways to still get it done. So even being down here, which should quickly be turned around as the Rift Herald dropped on the bottom side. 4 members strong as your move finally making his way down. The hook comes out on the Slurps, and the support has jumped away. The quickness is there, but Slurps is gone. Greggy gonna take that one up, but it doesn't matter because Fire Song finds the damage on the back line. Judge Grudge will go down, but the kills in return, a 2 for 2 overall. Shelly gets the charge, only finds a couple of plates as Los Payasos still find themselves at a deficit.
Just barely. They have shored up quite a bit, separating right now. The gold is only 500, and that's because Payasos have been showing up to these skirmishes. Once again, it's 4-man dedicated. It's a proactive play from Team Solid, and it's matched with relatively ease from Payasos. That team fight was basically just an even trade, but how this game is shaping out, Firesong actually on the Orion is putting out a huge amount of damage. The best part about having all this gold into the hands of in Oriana is when it comes to AoE, you're going to get so much value. There's the Petrifying Gaze, but misses out in your move. Terrible situation and gonna be taken down.
Just no way out as he's locked up in the Cataclysm. And now Greggy finds himself in some trouble, but a nice Lantern from this Silent Carry. Going to keep him safe. And, I mean, Dragon's available, and with your very strong mid laner dead, this is for sure going to go the way of Los Payasos as everybody looks to dissipate away from this one. Now, your move just finished an item, kind of, right? He's got the Archangel Staff.
Right.
It's not necessarily a completed item, but when you're in these team fights, Luden's Echo and the Sword Shoes on Oriana are absolutely huge.
No kidding. I mean, the amount of burst potential you have available, you combo the attack move with the attack dissonance, with the shockwave as well, and that's just a heaping helping. You get 3 men into that one, and that's basically a 1-team fight just off the back of Firesong alone. Oh, jeez, the action does not stop.
Ooh, the teleport from behind. JLU takes the support out of the fight, and can they win the 2v1? Machuca surely will fall unless the Battle Dance can come through, but no, the Obliterate instead as they find the kill there. And, I mean, this was the first time we've seen the top laners in the game.
Finally, actually providing some good damage here onto League of Legends. Yeah, this is a base race in the makings, and actually Greggy on the Olaf there in the top side just completely dissuades the top jungle duo of Payasos from actually opting for that one. So that's just flat out first brick gold, first tower advantage for Team Solid, and they're able to get a decent lead off of it, looking at around 2,000 gold. And again, the question is, where is the gold landing for both teams? Firebong is just putting kill after kill after kill, which is a big worry, you know, in the back of your mind. But I think finally we're going to see a remarkable game coming out of Triple Lift in particular on the Vayne. This really is a game where you can 1v1 every single person in the game.
And speaking of 1v1, Slurps finds himself in one with Jesus Loves You, but
Oh man,
The exhaust used, and JLU will walk away. Not going to chase after that one just in case. But a huge summoner spell used. Right now, Slurp's not going to be as effective either in the 1v1s or the 2v2s, as the bottom lane from Team Solid has gone up top, and they're looking to get a kill onto Horizon. But Judge Grudge is here. Final hour going to be popped. The stun for Horizon, and not able to use the Haymaker as Triple F now on a killing spree. Locked up in the Cataclysm, though, forced to flash away and buy some space. Able to do just that, but finds himself in the middle of 3 as the shutdown goes to Machuca, and they take down the AD carry for Team Solid. A 1-for-1 overall.
So close to actually making a big play right there, but Triple Lift just outmanned at that point. Rift Herald put down. Remember, this was the stronger side of the map for Payasos, and they're able to get the Rift Herald, put it down. This is just about going to match the tower advantage. In the mid lane, however, there is a bit of traded damage going down. Shelly's not dead, Tanner, so that's actually a worry in the makings. You're hoping Team Solid are going to respond to this eventually, and yep, the rotations are coming through.
And they might find a little bit more here as Flag and Drag to stay safe. Greggy steps up and not going to find anything, unfortunately. And yeah, Silent Carry, you know, he is doing just that, able to kind of try and carry his team, but not enough to stop Shelly's charge as Your Move finds Slurps, and the Petrifying Gaze underneath the turret finds the kill. I was thinking, where's the Featherstorm coming through, but unfortunately not able to get it off.
Yeah, not able to, and Slurps having quite a lackluster game, I would say, if you hold him up to the standard that he set game 1. Not on the Aphelios. It doesn't have quite the same punch to it, you know. Sometimes you just leave the Aphelios alone. He's silently in the backlines and he's able to shred through members. But here on the Xayah pick, you are much more item dependent. It's not like you get tons of base damages on your own. You have to put in the work. You have to farm properly. And right now, if we talk about farm, it's probably a sensitive subject, I would say, for Payasos, because it's a 50 CS deficit 18 minutes into the game.
And when you look at your counterpart, right, 50 CS is bad just as a whole, but to get behind to a Vayne 18 minutes into this game, it must feel absolutely horrible as they try and take the tier 1 up top. Not going to be able to do that just yet. Need another wave, but Dragon spawning shortly, and it looks like Los Payasos want to try and posture for this one. It is going to be Mountain Drake again for the rest of the game, which is going to make these less tanky comps that we talked about in picks bans a little more tanky, right? Whoever's able to net these resistances won't necessarily have to worry too much about, you know, not playing the Ornn or the Maokai, right? It's going to allow you to build a little more damage heavy with the extra resistances as the lockdown comes through. A beautiful flash and 3 ultimates used for Your Move, and he stays alive. Now Machuca may be caught out. The flay is there and the kill is there for Greggy as they look for the hook. They find the hook, they find the undertow, the slow, the Flag and Drag, though, to stay alive as the Gargoyle Stone Plate popped as well. A beautiful condemned from Triple Lift, staying true to the name as he finds another kill for himself. Dragon has spawned, and this one will go the way of Team Solid.
Yep, and the Vayne score 6-4-3, starting to become an issue, I would say, for Payasos. That's another Dragon going in favor of Team Solid. And this is another promising game for Team Solid as well. I don't want to jinx anything, but this is a game that's starting to go in their favor. They're showing a lot of promise with their carries. The difference is this time around, there's wicked scaling in both the mid and the AD carry position. In fact, I would go as far as to say both mid and AD carry compared to their counterparts scale better for Team Solid. So that comforts me a little more. If we get to this very late game scenario, I still know that there is carry potential for someone like Your Move and Triple Lift. You think back to last game, they were on the Syndra Kalista. Kalista, so difficult to work with in the late game. Syndra, she just didn't have the burst potential. But this time around, those concerns are not as heavy on your mind. And this could let Team Solid just really focus more on the gameplay itself as opposed to having that looming threat of being outscaled.
Slurps does have the completed Essence Reaver, but still, you know, half an item-ish behind Triple lift on that Vayne, as is expected, but now Horizon's going to
Holy.
Fine Gaze only finds the slow, looks for the stun, drops the ultimate. Isn't going to be enough. There's a haymaker, little bitty shield is not going to be enough to keep him alive. As your move will pick up the
flame.
Chuka's going to fall on the mid lane. Triple lift finds that one. Judge Grudge gets ulted out, and Triple lift wants more. Going forward, trying to find Slurps. A nice tumble keeps him safe. Nets him a double kill. And what goes up must come down. The triple kill before the Cataclysm for Triple lift.
There you go. The man of the final hour. It's Triple lift finally delivering on the big lead he's accrued. Possibly another kill on the side. There you go. 10-4 for this Vayne carry here. And this is no longer a threat. This is an actual problem manifesting itself here on Summoner's Rift. And it's going to translate right over to the Baron.
And, I mean, we saw Team Solid pick up Baron after Baron after Baron, and they just stay true to their name as they find another one here. The gold lead only going to grow as the teleport actually coming through from Horizons, and it's enough to scare them off. Flashes forward, finds a face breaker, might find the kill into Silent Carry.
Wait.
Is going to do that with the haymaker as he stops the Baron attempt.
That is a fantastic response right there. Okay, well, Payasos, they're feeling it, Tanner. They're feeling very confident with this one. This is, at the very least, going to force the hand of Team Solid, and they certainly are moving it right now. Miasma put down. Here we go into a team fight.
Maybe a little too confident as Baron's still spitting out the damage. Firesong gonna get locked up and immediately turned on. He goes golden to stay alive for now, but Triple Lift on the back line has the ultimates, and JLU finds the
Triple
kill.
lift.
Gonna be the first one to go down, and JLU popping off. The rest of the squad gonna find the kills. A clean ace for Team Solid, and now finally they reap the rewards.
And it all falls apart for Payasos. They showed up. They tried to force errors coming out from Team Solid, but the only thing Team Solid gave them was a catastrophe of a team. What a strong performance coming out from Triple Lift in particular. Didn't get caught out in that very scattered engage. Saw it through to the end, and this is what happens when a Vayne is able to snowball out of control, and there's no direct responses for it. The shockwave was used on 2 other members of the team. Obviously, not enough dive in the tank to be able to facilitate shutting Triple Lift down, and he really just ran rampant. The rest of the team riding the momentum as well. A hero that we don't really sing our praises of enough is JLU on the Mordekaiser, who has had such a quiet game, but every single one of his Mordekaiser ultimates have been a big benefit to the team.
Yeah, finds kills in all of them, right? Right now, as you said, he was quiet, but then he started making his way into these fights, and he was ulting out people that he could for sure kill, and also members that can reach back and touch his AD carry. He's playing that peel game as well as the offense game. You know, Rakan can go back, find so much CC onto the Vayne, but if you ult him out of the fight, there's nothing you can do. And Los Payasos, I envy them for stopping the Baron push, but you only killed the support. Right, Vayne is still alive. So to go for that Baron is such a silly play to see. And now, as you know, Dragon spawning here shortly, I would imagine we see another fight, and you've got a Baroned up Team Solid.
Yeah, it's a play that on paper could work, but the amount of potential for it to actually come to fruition is so small. Judge, okay, into the pit he goes. The smite not alongside him, though.
And feeds over another kill to the Vayne. He was looking for the steal, and now you've got Team Solid on Soul Point, and it's not something that you need to dive for, right? Now you don't have this huge beefy front line, and if nobody can stand in front of your damage dealers, how do you play this next fight? Machuca gets ulted out. Your set is not very tanky, and you don't even have that much damage to follow through. With no disruption from the Jarvan, I mean, this base is going to open up a beautiful shockwave, though, onto 2. Horizons is going to get stunned up as he tries to go into the fight. Not able to find anything as the Ragnarok will keep Olaf safe for now. Silent Carry manages to pick up Machuca, and the rest of the team is going to fall. The flash comes through as Firestone stays alive for now, but the mid inhibitor turret will fall.
And just in the snap of a fingers, It was a big shockwave coming out from Payasos, but you could see the hesitation on their faces. No one wants to walk up to this backline. The Vayne was caught out. The Cassiopeia was caught out. Still nothing. There was just not enough confidence to actually go through with the play. Everyone wasn't quite on the same page, and what was a good play in isolation doesn't actually pay off for Payasos. It ends up just being the trigger for Team Solid as they take over that team fight. And this game as a whole is looking to be on a very downward trajectory for Payasos. You've got big power spikes that came through during that last push. First of all, the Ginsu's Rage Blade for the Vayne, as well as that third item for the Cassiopeia, the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. And at this point, for Cassiopeia, you don't need to be playing that main backline carry. You can, for sure, but right now the Cassiopeia's job is to almost be like a scapegoat, where you get caught in a shockwave and feels good for Payasos. They might even go in. The only problem is that Triple Lift is waiting in the backlines. He's hopefully going to be playing as patient as possible and is going to find his opportunity to strike. Cassiopeia is not a champion that you can burst down very easily. She's got the Saracen Embrace. Oh boy. All right, 1v1.
1v1. Welcome to the realm of death, Horizon, as that is all you are going to find. He's got the Haymaker after the showstopper, but unfortunately, it's a short show from him as Triple Lift goes godlike, finding this solo kill. And I mean, things, as you said, it's slowly starting to fall apart. The solo kills in the side lanes, there's just, it's really hard right now for Los Payasos to find a way back into this game.
Yeah, and that star player slurps on the Xayah this time around, and it's just not the same. The magic's lost. As a whole, things coming apart a bit at the seams for Payasos. They are losing structures left and right, being pulled apart. And it's just Team Solid to ride this wave seemingly to victory at this point.
Yeah, the score lines are looming over the Los Payasos squad as you 5-0-6 on the Mordekaiser, 8-3 on the Cassiopeias. Step up a little bit, drops a slow, but they're looking just to clear the wave. The inhibitor turret on the top side goes down in favor of Team Solid. They do find the hook onto Horizon, but not much to answer that, and just so much damage. A couple of auto attacks is all it takes to chunk Horizon to half HP.
This is wild.
Huge.
This is just wild damage. I don't know how you could justify walking forward right now for Payasos. There's just not enough room in your base. You want to stay 10 meters away from every single member, but especially Triple Lift on the Vayne. This 1v1 has been going the way of JLU time and time again, and it's going to allow him to pick up this inhibitor, just grinding it off.
And no answer to the level 17 of Mordekaiser as Inhib on the bottom lane goes down. Inhib on the top lane will follow as mid has already been taken. So now you've got the super minions coming through, and Team Solid, they lost a game where they were up 6,000 gold. Well, coming into the game number 2, they said, hey guys, let's double that lead. That way there's absolutely no way we lose this one out. And it looks like they're looking to grow the lead with this Baron.
This is another one where you just have to assume it's going to go in the favor of Team Solid. Judge is around. Petrifying Gaze, though. That's going to stop up the momentum. Now it's just crawling away. But the Snake and Mordekaiser as well, looking to catch their prey. There it is. And this looks like potentially the final push.
Yeah, Triple Lift going in aggressive, finds
What
the
a
quickness,
hook.
not going to find the stun, and just able to stay elusive. Pulled back into the fight as he may fall here, finds a double kill. There's the showstopper. Greggy finds a kill onto Horizon, and the 80 carry survives. A clean ace for Team Solid as they take us to game number 3.
Team Solid. This time around, the snowball working very much in their favor. Triple Lift and Your Move, the marksman mid duo, looking like completely new leaves here, and they're able to take it 30 minutes in.
That was it was incredible. It seemed like Slurps had the advantage early, you know, down a couple of kills, but able to trade back damage and winning the trades. We saw Your Move kind of win in that mid lane, but you know, we crest that 15-minute mark and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
And as you said, the mid and bot just too strong. And again, this is one of those things where we saw it on the Aphelios. There's really no way to get back to slurps on the Aphelios. This time around, with the Vayne, Triple Lift was untouchable. He was so elusive, and it just makes for such a very strong marksman pick. And now we know that both of these AD carries have that star-studded power, right? Hey, put the
Yeah.
spotlight on me. You put a couple of kills on me, and I'm going to carry. Now going into game number 3, it's like, battle of the AD carries. Who's gonna get it done? Who's gonna push their team ahead? I'm super excited for it.
Oh man, Tanner, I'm not joking. It does bring a tear to my eye. Like I haven't seen games really pivoting around marksman for a long time. So this is very refreshing to see. Triple Lift putting on a killer performance. I think you could say almost matching up to the standard that Slurp set on the Aphelios game one. Not as sort of mind bending, but boy was Triple Lift just a damage source that could not be contained, and that was the big problem. That was why you saw so much struggling coming out of Payasos. This time around, though, I don't know if there's any big bands that are going to scream in your way, so I'm very curious to see what the pick and ban is going to look like as we head closer and closer to game 3.
Yeah, game number 3 coming up next. We're all tied up, and it has been the marksman show for both of these teams. We are going to jump to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have to see if Team Solid can ride their high or if Los Payasos can make some changes and take the series. And just like that, we are back. Game number 3, just ahead of us after we looked at a game number 1 that was incredibly close, could go either way. Game number 2, not so much. And now game number 3, honestly, Switch, I have absolutely no idea what to expect.
I am refusing to place any bets, Tanner, because this is a roller coaster of emotions that we're hitting right now. It's a good way to start the first week of UML, and these two teams are certainly putting up quite the bout. I mean, you come into week one and everyone's thinking, I'm going to win. But only one person, or rather one team, really, can come out on top in any particular matchup. This has been so stacked, especially when you look at the marksman positions. I would say marksman first and foremost, probably playing second fiddle is the mid position. And then after that is the rest, where you might see the occasional carry here or there. Let's talk about silent carry on the Thresh, who's been delivering time and time again when it comes to engaging. And it meant so much here in the second game when you finally had a strong lead put on the right champions for Team Solid. And it was always silent carry to enable the team to go for these engagements. JLU as well, another player who was always playing that sort of backline role. You didn't need him to hard carry, but he still put in so much work that second game. When I talk about what I want to see coming into this last game, I think for Payasos, it's definitely just trying to get the late game once again. It feels like they have a lot more confidence when they can just endure the early game and scale like crazy into the late game. I'm thinking Ornn. I'm thinking once again Cassiopeia seems like a great pick this series. And as well, you've got to think about what is Slurp's going to run in the AD carry position.
Yeah, the Aphelios seemed to be, I mean, his tried and true, his go-to. He was so strong on it, and I think maybe not even just that. You said it, right? The scaling. Go back to that. Even if you have a bad early game, you can always fall back on the scaling. Now, it's not just as easy as, hey, let's just wait till 40 minutes, right? There's still a lot going
Yeah.
on. You can't give up too much, but I would love to see Slurps on something that maybe scales a little bit better and isn't necessarily, just so shut out by not having any items. He had
Right.
0 success on the Xayah, unfortunately. I'd like to see maybe, the Sivir here or something that could have a little more impact. for the team as we jump right into quick or picks and bans, not quicks and bans, as they are moving pretty quick. So you can't blame me there. And Los Payasos, they respect the Thresh. They ban it away.
Pretty smart move, I would say. Silent Carry is doing a great job of applying so much pressure onto Slurps, and Slurps, of course, when you think about those high highs that he had, you definitely want to have that come into play in this third and final game for Payasos. The Nautilus as well, another hook champion taken away, and there's that Aphelios that worked wonders in game 2. Well, Team Solid are at it again.
Yeah, and they don't want to see Judge on the Graves. They've been banning it away as they go back to the Syndra pick, and it wasn't a bad pick in game number 1. And we've seen your move get ahead time and time in these games. They just need to keep it going.
Heck yeah, I would actually. Okay, okay, that's a Nunu actually. Thanks to my producer on that one. First of all, let's touch on the known quantities. Syndra was a great pick. You look back to that game 1, and I would say Syndra was probably the best thing Team Solid had going for themselves. I'm surprised they went for the Cassiopeia, but also I was kind of welcome to the change. The Nunu coming in for Los Payasos. What is going on here? So this does bring them a lot of, I would say, early game activity. Nunu feels very comfortable, sometimes sacrificing his own clears to show up and return gank time and time again. And this could be a big flashing indicator that Los Payasos might be playing around the bot lane yet again. There's the Yuumi locked in as well. So just waiting on what exactly that marksman is going to be.
Yeah, we talked about scaling, and you're looking right at it, right? The Victor, the Yuumi locked in, the Nunu as the tank. But back on Team Solid, we will see Triple Lift playing on that Vayne that he had such success in game number 2. They feel very comfortable putting him on it, and they pick it before even seeing the enemy AD carry. So comfortability is really an understatement, as they're now going to take away some bans, right? There are no AD carry picks on the side of Los Payasos, so they can ban away the Ezreal. They can look to ban away something else, right? Aphelios is already gone. Maybe something like the Sivir or something that is going to be very good and very scaly with the Yuumi.
I'm going to make a mental note of this blind Vayne pick. Not that I don't think Vayne can carry. I just think that Vayne is such a conditional marksman. Yes, she looks fantastic when you snowball. Is it the right play here? I always like it when teams adapt their pick and bans, when it's constantly evolving and when they don't stay on one thing for too long. Maybe this Vayne is predictable, and maybe there's been enough time in between the game, even during game 2, where Los Payasos have figured out how they want to counter the Vayne. We'll have to wait and see as the Sivir is taken away. So this bot lane, in an insane amount of mobility. When you talk about how hard it was to stop the snowball from forming in the bot lane for Team Solid, this time around with all that mobility, with the spell shield as well, and no hook champion in sight, I think Los Payasos might actually have an avenue for success that doesn't involve bot lane.
Yeah, but it's going to be the Lulu locked in there for that support role. And hold on. They
Interesting.
could be doing something crazy here. Maybe it's a Lulu top. It's been a while since we've seen something like that. But if they're looking to run, okay, never mind. The set is locked in. Okay, so I'm lying. I want the crazy
jungle
to happen.
set.
I want to be clowning around here. As the Lulu locked in, a very nice point and click to just stop whoever it is, right? And it's very hard to spell shield something that is almost instant. Not that it can't be done. You talked about the snowball in the bottom lane. I want to talk about the snowball in the Nunu, because now you've got the on the hunt, you've got the zoomies, you've got so much speed coming through in that composition as a whole. As we heard it here in our ears, Pantheon locked in for that jungle role. So Greggy going to be breaking out of his shell a bit.
Man, oh man, this is just such an interesting pick, man. All right, the Lulu is a bit wacky. Here's the thing. I don't love Lulu against this composition. If you're thinking about, using Whimsy on a Sivir 80 carry, first of all, she's got a spell shield. So there's already it doesn't sound fantastic on paper. What's it going to be next? Maybe a backline Victor? Sure, now Aatrox is a potential target to apply the Whimsy onto. But aside from that, it feels like the Lulu was picked just because of the fact that the side of Team Solid are very comfortable putting a lot of eggs into the bot lane basket once again. You can't blame them. And this could be another reason why they've actually opted for the Pantheon jungle. Pantheon could just flat out match the proactivity that Nunu will bring. But when it comes to ganking potential, Pantheon just brings something else to the party. The Grand Starfall, especially when you apply it down into the bot lane, it could make for a very fearsome play. You can translate that, if you get an advantage, over to something like a dragon. And when we look at the patterns this series has had, dragons do actually lead to victories. Both games have had Mountain Souls available, and the winning teams have secured those.
That is very true. And you talked about the ultimate from Pantheon. It's kind of the same as it creates that stigma of needing better wards, right? The Nocturne ultimate is the same way, where you can ult from so far away. You can ult from the bottom of the lane, but from in between the two turrets. Like, it just adds so much fear into the game plan for this squad, and it brings a little more than the Olaf, right? The Olaf is strong, but Pantheon can literally just point and click on you with the shield assault, and you're stunned. And then the rest of the squad can follow up, which we saw Team Solid play the Syndra and land so many Scatter the Weeks. I'm very excited to see the jungle duo in this game. But as we said, Los Payasos, they've got the scaling now. They go back to it, and if they can buy some time and go into the late game, they could take it here. I think it is going to be the battle of the AD carries in Slurps and Triple Lift as a whole.
Yeah, and if the last two games weren't as action-packed enough in the early game, this is going to be absolutely one of the highest activities we're going to see. Both junglers want to just go hard and really nail it in when it comes to early game ganking, when it comes to early game skirmishes. You've got bot lanes that could swing either way. I feel like if the Sivir gets ahead, she just completely shuts down lane. You get that Essence Reaver very early on, and you're just sweeping up minion waves. You make it almost unplayable for the Vayne. Vayne has to start catching these waves instead of pushing them. And you get tons of agency. That's a big thing to have. Finally, I haven't put enough attention to the top lane just because, to be honest, it hasn't mattered too much this entire series. It's been a very bot lane centric type of series, but top lane, still, both of these carries aren't necessarily going to demand a lot of attention in the early game, but when they come to team fights, it will be valuable tools to have. Aatrox is almost like a pseudo engage, where he will pop that World Ender, he will go into the middle of the enemy team, start landing some of these Qs. Very similar playstyle, actually, for the set, where you're utilizing the Showmaker as your ticket into the backline. You're doing things like the Haymaker to get as much value as possible, and hopefully win the team fight, or set the team fight up, rather, for the rest of your team.
What I do love about the composition for Los Payasos is they go back to kind of having that tanky composition, right? The Aatrox is going to be kind of in the middle, match the set as far as tankiness, but then they have the Nunu. Not that I don't think Jarvan is a great champion. I didn't even see Jarvan, really. I saw it sprinkled here and there on the champion list for Judge. I didn't see Nunu at all, but I think building somebody who's just straight tank and then also having the Yuumi, it's really going to open up the game for Slurps. And that right there, I believe, is their win condition ultimately. And then they also have this incredible engage tool in the squad, right? Just being able to run everybody down, but then some peel. You can throw out the snowball. You can stop the push from coming forward from Team Solid. You have the Yuumi to run your way. You can use the On the Hunt offensively and defensively. I love that in this composition that they've locked in, they have so many options. It didn't feel like that in game 2, and it definitely looked just like that in game 2, right? They had no options. There's no way back in the game, and they suffered a crushing defeat.
Yeah.
Now they give Slurps a little more breathing room to try and kind of fight his way into this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, this time around, carries could come potentially from any lane for the side of Los Payasos. It doesn't have to be Slurp this time around. And, contrary to what people, might believe on the surface when they see a Yuumi, it doesn't always have to go into the hands of an actual marksman. Sometimes you can put it onto someone like an Aatrox, and it'll just empower them, and it'll be such a great benefit when it comes to zoning out the enemy team. And if you gain good positioning on this team, if you're able to play front to back, I actually think Payasos have a great shot at this. The only problem is when we talk about playmaking potential, of course, you had to bring in some of Team Solid's members, especially the Vayne and the Syndra. We sort of picked this series as primarily focused on the marksman position, then on the mid lane position. Well, these are definitely two huge snowbally matchups in general. So eyes peeled on how it's all going to go down. But this is where it ends, Tanner. This is going to be the final game to figure out who comes out 1-0 on week 1 of the UML.
Week 1 UML, you said it best here at Upsurge Esports, where we put together the best of the competition. But we also want to talk about Unified Esports Association, previously known as, some of you may have heard around the block as Midwest Esports. Unified Esports Association, aka UEA, is a Kansas-based company that oversees multiple products that specialize and operate as a dynamic pipeline within the esports industry, providing shared experiences that directly serve collegiate, youth, hobbyists, and amateur video game players at every stage. Starting as a small student group out of Wichita State University, since then, UEA has grown to be a veteran organizer to tournaments and events throughout the US. They host tournaments for games like League of Legends, Rocket League, as well as Overwatch. And for more information, you can check them out at uea.gg. We are going to jump to a quick break, but when we come back, we close out week 1 with a banger of a series, game 3 between Team Solid and Los Payasos.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night.
And we are live and underway. Game number 3, Team Solid Los Payasos switch. How excited are you for this one? We saw some early blood in game number 2. Are we expecting to see it in game 3? Oh, it looks like it.
Boy, oh boy, I hope so, Tanner. Oh man, the Pantheon leading the charge as well. Could be opting for that stun very early on, but no, actually skilled up the emote, and it's paying off in dividends.
Alrighty, so they get the award. Gold over to your move, who's been a strong carry. And I mean, hey, GG's, let's just call it a day, boys.
Yep, pack it up.
As
None,
they do
none
get
to see.
Los Payasos grab a very early deep ward on this red buff to track Greggy, and I think that's so important, and that's something that they haven't done yet. So they're already showing some signs of change after having a horrific, kind of start on like mid game in game number 2. And
Yep.
I just love to see that when, you can kind of, you fight a grueling game number 1, and then in game number 2 you get stomped, but you're
Yeah.
still staying like in the right mental. You're able to keep your team pushing forward and be thinking clearly. And I love this start from them, even though it is just a ward.
I mean, last game, when it came down to the skirmishes, It felt like the engines were warmed up. The communication was going good for both teams. The reactions were instant. And that definitely paid off for Payasos. That's part of the reason why they stuck through that game so long in game one, why they had a shot technically when it came to game two. They are still matching blow for blow. And this is part of the reason why them hopefully tracking out the Pantheon, obviously pre-level 6, before he actually gets access to the Grand Starfall, is going to be a little more easy to predict. After that point, you're just praying he doesn't come to your lane if you're a laner.
Absolutely does have some simple but very effective gank tools in that ultimate and in the stun itself, and it's something different than the Olaf, right? Before you were just worried about dodging the undertow. Well, now you can't even let this guy get close to you, and it forced Firesong to take the flash and the cleanse, as there is an early invade looking to take away the red buff. The damage coming through those slurps has to be careful. Heal is used and ignite is on. Yuumi, unfortunately, not on top of the AD carry as Slurp's forced underneath the turret. Lives with a sliver, and Firesong now in trouble, forced to flash away. Hangs on to the cleanse, but Triple Lift wants more. He steps forward. He's got the damage. First Blood goes over, and level 2 advantage pays off for Team Solid.
Team Solid. I mean, this bot lane, Triple Lift, man. I almost doubted him when it came to the Vayne. I actually did doubt him. I said not a good blind pick, but goes to... oh, Jesus. You see that, Tanner?
Here we go, Judge coming through the biggest snowball ever. Not going to find
gosh.
its mark as the tumble will split the squads. The teleport down from your move, looking to get ahead early, and he does just that. And Machuca is here, but not for long. The silver tip bolt and the press the attack enough to take him down. Triple Lift off to a great start.
And that was a spectacular accident happening. Unfortunately, the victims here are going to be Payasos. They went for the biggest snowball. Ended up being a snowball in someone's favor. Unfortunately, 2 kills over to Triple Lift. And we've seen this before, Tanner. We know what the man can do. Now it's just all about what's the next move for Payasos. You can't get demotivated here. And it looks like it's going to be in the mid lane. Firebomb taken quite low. But this stun actually coming out from the Gravity Well. Enough to dissuade that gank.
Yeah, it keeps him safe for now. Haymaker comes through on the top side, and Horizon taken a little low. Needs to be careful, but looks to heal up on the wave here. Biggest snowball ever comes through. Dodged again, but forced the flash this time around as JLU in a little bit of trouble. May not have the Haymaker, but he's got the Facebreaker, finds the stun, but Horizon finds the kill. And just like that, Los Payasos strike back.
There you go. On the board, first kill, and it's over to the Horizon. Remember what we talked about, that top lane. Those leads are sometimes set in stone, but this gank is such a sneaky one. Here we go, 3v2, and Slurp's nowhere to go, possibly just at the tower.
Just no way out, and unfortunately his support will duke it out with him. Finds himself in the middle of 3 as Triple Lift grabbing another kill, another double kill at 4-0-1 on this Vayne. It's looking grim.
That's the buy one, get one free special, Tanner. It's just so tragic to see for Payasos. They're doing their best, but what do you do there as the Sipper? Obviously, you know, don't mention warding because I really wasn't keeping track of whether or not they had trinkets available. Even if they face checked in, would they have died anyway? Do you know, just deny yourself all of that EXP? It's just a lose-lose situation, and unfortunately, the bigger losses are coming out right now for Payasos. The Dragon secured, early Infernal, just as always. Are we going to see the Mountain Soul this time around? Because, oh, actually, no, we're not. So it's second Dragon Mountain. That leaves either Cloud or Ocean to be the final. I think if you're Payasos, you're just praying it's not Ocean.
Yeah, the Ocean would be devastating, especially to the nice little poke composition that they've got. And, I mean, can you imagine Triple Lift just auto-attacking your entire team down and getting healed every single time they start to fight? It's absolutely horrific. And this time around, again, there's not much of an answer as JLU hits level 6. Looks to find some damage on Horizon. Does have the Showstopper available, but Judge is back again. He finds a snowball this time around, and the ultimate is used to try and get to safety
Here's Pantheon.
Snowball barrage coming through as Pantheon makes his way up. Greggy trying to turn it around, but Horizon finds the kill. And now Greggy trying to get one back as he uses the invulnerability, stays alive. A nice consume from Judge, heals him up, and Firesong makes his way up to find the kill. But Your Move waiting in the bush, a level 6 Syndra looking to turn it around. The movement speed proves to be too much. And just like that, Los Payasos, they're not giving up so soon.
No kidding. Still kicking and screaming. They're not going down without a fight. The spot lane. Oh, hang on. Beautiful stun. And that's going to be Your Move. Located the R key and a kill right on over to himself. 2 kills for Your Move in total. And Team Solid just looking as aggressive as ever.
Yeah, it's Your Move back on the Syndra. Very comfortable, right? The 2 comfort picks in the Syndra, in the Vayne. We've seen Triple Lift just continue to play forward, right? In those early skirmishes, picking up a couple of kills. And then Your Move. He knows it's a 2v1, but he also knows that he's got his ultimate. And it's just enough to get the kill. Judge not necessarily respecting the damage. But what I will say for the Nunu is he fares very well building a Spirit Visage. And that obviously stops a lot of the damage coming through from Your Move. So
True.
we'll have to see if he decides to pick that one up as he makes his way through the jungle and everybody else doing their darndest to stay farmed up. And I like the, again, adaptations, Slurps and Machuca. They're just playing back. They're not stepping up for any reason. They've got the vision, and they're just going to play it safe. They don't want to let Triple Lift get any further ahead.
Well, Tanner, the lesson has been ingrained in their minds.
Yeah.
Stepping up equals bad. So I don't blame them for really playing it a bit back on this side of Summoner's Rift. But the damage is sort of already done, man. 4-0 on Triple Lift right now. Now, don't even count the assists. Don't even count the CS lead that he's going to be accruing here in the bot lane. Right now, you're just worrying about the kills going into this man's hand, because boy oh boy will he deliver if given the items.
Yeah, we've seen both of these 80 carries deliver, and we've seen Slurps do it from behind, right? Triple Lift got the lead early in the last game, carried game number 2. Game number 1, Slurps and his squad, they were so far behind, so it's not to say this isn't over, but Judge Grudge, I mean, he's flipped the script here, and he's looking to play around top lane. JLU taking dangerously low, no haymaker, but he looks to find a kill. Absolute Zero will pick that one up. And now the rest of the squad on the bottom side looking to pick up the kills. A nice spell shield to stop at the unleashed power. Is it going to be enough? It is not enough. Slurp stays alive with the barrier, but all summoners exhausted from Machuca, but overall a nice pickup across the map.
That feels so bad for Team Solid. They invested so much. Look at the summoners, both summoners from Triple Lift to try and catch that. Your Move as well, expending the ultimate, expending the flash. And it's just going to be tower plates in return. Judge Drudge, he did have a bit of a run-in with Greggy, but he's still going to secure the Rift Herald in time. You think about who won out on this trade, and I think it goes down to Payasos. They've been able to elude the bot lane gank. They've been able to get a kill on the top side, basically set up Horizon for success, and even have a Rift Herald to work around as well. So when it comes to the next 2 minutes, as long as the Rift Herald does end up paying off, we could be seeing dead even gold.
Yeah, the Rift Herald game number 3 picked up, so they're able to get some, hopefully, utilization. What we talked about in game number 1 is there's an X on the price or the value of that Rift Herald depending on how you're able to use it. It is very scary though, because in the bottom side of the map there's only 2 plates left, right? Triple Lift and the Silent Carry have done a very good job at banging that one down, grabbing some extra gold for themselves. But overall, with that lead on the Vayne and the Syndra, I mean, it's only 1,000 gold separating these teams, and we talked about it in game number 2. Los Payasos, they can come back. They're not afraid to be 5,000 gold behind and look to find their way back in. Oh, JLU taking some damage, and before he can get the haymaker off, Horizon finds the solo kill under the turret.
Dunk. Here we go, Tanner. All right, who can snowball faster? Is it the 4-0 Vayne, or is it Horizon on an island here? 3-0 now, and he's going to be starting to knock on those towers very soon. Dragon started from Team Solid. They got to make something happen here in the strong side of the map for themselves, but the TPs are coming down.
Yeah, Triple F makes his way into the fight, but Horizon finds the first kill. Your move going to find a return kill onto Fire Song as Triple F continuing
Triple
to pop
F.
off. Slurps has the spell shield. It is enough to keep him alive for now, but not much longer. Judge Grudge trying to get away, but can't do it. A 1 for 4
Wow.
as they look to pick up the 5th kill under the turret, and discombobulated is an understatement for that fight, and Team Solid come out on top.
Completely scrambled right there for the side of my for the side of the Clowns, and unfortunately that does not look like a good play right there. That's just 4 for 0. Dragon in favor as well. Now 2 dragons for Team Solid, and they had set everything up. They had strong vision on the map. Sure, it was a flank TP coming in from Horizon, but when you think about where the target selection was, I honestly could not tell you.
Yeah, that was just all over the place, right? Slurps not necessarily in the best position, standing on top of certain members from the team, and even Firesong was having a hard time finding his footing in that fight. Now, the one thing that Los Payasos have in their favor right now is, same as game 1, is the shutdown gold. If they're able to find the kill onto Vayne and onto Syndra, you immediately chop at this 2,000 gold deficit and start to get your carries back into the game if you can get it on the right members. And in that team fight, we saw how strong the Horizon can be, and it's only going to get worse from there. So it's by no means is this game in anybody's favor. It's almost mirroring game number 1, and just like that game, I mean, it was anybody's game at any point. It all came down to one fight as Rift Herald still in the pocket of Judge. We'll have to see if he's able to use that anywhere. I'm thinking top lane's probably the place to go.
I would have to agree with that one, Tanner. And it's going to be the snowball on up. JLU, once again, under tower, like the rest of this game. Hang on, chase down from Triple Lift.
They don't manage to get the kill as a turret on 2 plates will go to Shelly, but Horizon will find the kill there. JLU rather will find the kills. He takes down the jungler as the Infernal Chains will keep Horizon safe for now, but JLU turning it around in the 2v1.
A sick play for the weaker side of the map, and Team Solid trying to keep their cool, trying to keep control as much as possible. They made a play on the bot lane as well, and they were able to take the tower, 1 tower apiece, but really still more gold being funneled into Triple Lift. And at some point, you're just not going to be able to stop him on your own if you're the bot lane of Payasos. You need extra members down here, and you probably need to start skirmishing as soon as possible. I think the longer you extend the lane phase, sure, sounds good when you think about your top laners, but at the same time, if you keep the bot lane as is, it's just going to be Triple Lift gaining CS advantages, gaining HP advantages, and then just setting up his team for great ganks coming through.
And we're seeing the doors that are opened with Triple Lift being ahead, right? The turret was still up 2 times. They chased him all the way back to the tier 2. There's just no way for Slurps and Machuca to get into the lane because they just get run down. Now that that lane is broken open, everything that you were just talking about, it might be a little too late. You're down almost 30 CS, and it's going to be very, very difficult for Slurps to find a place to go, because Triple Lift roaming around with the squad, like Greggy's basically been in his back pocket. And now he has his ultimate available being level 8. It's not up right now. And it supplements it so much more. And you see him immediately. Triple Lift takes that lead right into the mid lane, looking to push it there.
Horizon in particular, this guy has got his work cut out for him. I'll say that much. So Aatrox functions as a diver. The only problem is no one else really complements him that much. Like beyond the hunt, sure, it'll facilitate and engage, but aside from that, it's not like there's anyone diving with him. It's just 2 backliners and a Nunu. Yumi could help when it comes to escaping after diving, but Horizon, he's got to bring the damage, and that Scatter the Weak is going to stop the play. Rift Herald being started from Team Solid, as well as a mid play.
Yeah, Triple Lift looking for the kill onto Fire Song. He manages to pick it up now, dominating but 3 members strong on the bottom side is Los Payasos, but they're forced to retreat as Triple Lift looks to open up the mid lane.
No matter where this vein goes, it just all turns to gold, apparently. Mid tower taken, Rift Herald in the back pocket, and this could just be expended right here, right now, to empower this push, and it is. No one's around to react to this one, and Team Solid about to cash out.
Yeah, and a nice read on the play from Los Payasos to recall there, knowing that the Rift Herald would make its way into the mid lane, but the damage has been done, unfortunately, and now your team's a little discombobulated. You're kind of all over the place. Dragon just spawned. Cloud Drake going over to Team Solid with Cloud Drake seems much stronger than the other way around, and they already pick up the first one.
Yeah, think about it. Grand Starfall, much quicker, could mean that you're just able to, engage much more frequently as a winning team already. But things like Unleashed Power on lower cooldown, even Final Hour, that is terrifying stuff. I don't often regard Cloud Drake as something remarkable, but this really does feel like adding salt to an open wound right now.
Yeah, that is just the cherry on top, right? Having the ultimate cooldown reduction, even the ability to have the wild growth from Lulu and to continue to keep your AD carry safe in team fight after team fight, having that ult up so much. And then if you get the soul, this Vayne drops her ultimate, right? Uses the final hour and just can either run everybody down or play so well in the back line. Game number 2, fighting front to back was the name of the game. The only thing as this game goes a little bit later, neither of these teams really have a front line. It's going to be up to Judge to be the front line for his squad. Vayne should be able to knock him down, but when you look at the front line in front of Triple Lift, it's hard to play front to back because your front line might just fall.
Man, and Horizon for the lead that he accrued for himself, well, you can see for yourself.
Yep, speaking of, the flash comes through. There's the ultimate going to be traded over as JLU picks the kill up, and the follow-through ultimate from Greggy as he finds Fire Song. The stun is there, and he will be invulnerable for a moment longer as Slurps tries to find his way back in, but your move is here. They find Judge Grudge. He flashes over the wall. Silent Carry trying to find the slows. The snowball not going to be enough to stop the team, as unstoppable is your move, and sent to the Shadow Realm is Judge Grudge.
Stun.
And Slurps might follow. A nice stun there. One more auto will get it. The tumble forward, the barrier not enough, and Triple Lift, godlike.
The shield just to help with the escape. Triple Lift. This guy's just got bloodlust. He's just got the eye of the tiger, and he's going for these plays that he exactly needs to make work. Now the top lane siege. This game slowly slipping out of the hands of Payasos. They put up such a good fight. But you think back to that engage, if we're going to be seeing that for the rest of the game, I am very worried for Payasos. That's almost unreactable how quickly that was executed.
Yeah, the follow-up there from Greggy to drop the ultimate, you buy a lot of time. Not that you don't, not that you necessarily need it. Your team's so strong, but then your move makes its way into the fight. And I mean, the scatter the weeks there were absolutely pinpoint perfect. Finding just the window between the spell shields. Slurps not able to spell shield when he needs to. I would say like the only really silver light in that fight was Machuca wasn't the BOGO, right? Wasn't the buy one get one free there. Managed to stay alive. Now, if you are Los Payasos, what are they looking to do here to get back into this game when you're looking at, a dreading 7,000 gold deficit, 3 dragons to 0? How do they come back here?
Yeah, it's certainly a good question, and one on the minds of Payasos right now. Taking evenly matched team fights is nowhere near what you want to do. By the way, right now, just want to make a note. Baron is going to go in favor unless we see a reaction really quickly. Judge Drudge is actually on the way. What you want to do is you want to make picks. That's the beauty of Nunu. He has a lot of options when it comes to ganking. You want to sort of start to split the map. So maybe send, like we're seeing now, the egg trucks to the bot lane, send a mid laner over to the mid lane, or a bot laner. It doesn't really matter. But try and split the map as much as possible. Utilize the Nunu to give you advantageous situations and just pray Greggy is not in the right place at the right time to react with the Grand Starfall. Remember, these are reduced cooldowns for the ultimate right now. It's sitting at 10%, but once that final dragon possibly goes in favor for Team Solid, they're going to get 20% reduction as well as extra movement speed on every single ultimate. Think about that in the hands of Triple Lift on the Vayne. That's as gross as it gets. He's going to be zooming.
Yeah, the skirmish breaks out on the bottom lane. Nice Infernal change, but here comes
Here
the
we go.
from Greggy. The damage is coming through, though, as Horizon's trying to find it with the Darkened Blade, but it's just not enough, and Judge Grudge can't find his way in as Silent Carry will
Horizon?
secure that kill, but Horizon's still alive, but only buying a bit of time. Comet Spear comes through, another Haymaker. He dashes over the wall, but finds Triple Lift, who is legendary on this Vayne, and with 2 members dead, no jungler alive, this could be the Cloud Soul.
And Team Solid just making me absolutely eat my words. I was a doubter of the blind pick Vayne in game 3, but man, this might just be a staple of Team Solid for the rest of the season. How can you blame them when it's going this well? The snowball, the playmaking, it's all there right now. And Triple Lift doesn't even have to do his best Slurps impression. He's doing one better at the moment.
And in week 1, what a statement to make, right? If a lot of the times, if you haven't seen these teams before, you look at their OPGGs, you look at some of their match history, and you try and find, comfortable picks or picks that they've played strong on. Not that these champions aren't on there, but this just adds to it, right? You have to be afraid of your move, Syndra. You have to be afraid of Triple Lift's Vayne. It's now like etched in stone for the rest of the season here in week 1. And if they can continue to have strong performances across the board, even on the Callista, he was playing so well. It opens up so many options, and the draft gets so difficult against this Team Solid squad.
Yeah, give you an example. How is an enemy team going to feel about blind picking an Ezreal anymore when there's such a strong Vayne player on the other side of things? Just a small example of how much better the pick and ban phase could be as the season progresses for Team Solid. But back to the game itself, it's the side of Payasos. Once again, they have to make miracles happen. It was in game 1 where they were at a big deficit, but this time around, this Baron almost looks guaranteed. The Vayne damage building up, the Lulu to empower it, and finally reactions coming through. Is it going to come in time, though? On the hunt available, Nunu starting to enter the vicinity, but there goes the Baron.
It's just too slow, and the fight will ensue. Triple Lift on the front line, run down by Horizons, but stays alive. Triple Lift legendary as he finds a double kill. JLU on the back line buying some time as Greggy finds another kill. Your move teleports into the fight, and dominating a clean ace for Team Solid, and this could be the game.
That is just the drop kick to end this series. Well fought from Payasos, but that was the killing blow that you just needed to come out from Team Solid. The dive there, the trigger pulled certainly for Payasos, but what a great reaction. Triple Lift still alive and kicking, as well as the rest of his team. They absolutely earned this victory for themselves, the victory of the series, and possibly a bright future ahead of their UML season.
In 2-1 fashion, Team Solid takes this series, closing out week 1, and I mean, what a statement there in game number 3. Game number 2 looked a little rocky. It was one-sided towards the end, but they were biding their time. They were kind of playing it slow. And this one, they were just pedal to the metal, gas to the floor, moving forward, holding that W key, and they get it done in under 25 minutes.
By far the most decisive game, just because man, oh man. I mean, Triple Lift. You can't talk about this guy enough. And I'll try not to talk about him just so that we can showcase some of the other players. But, it goes without saying that he is the star player that's going to attract the most attention. I think if anyone's doing scouting on this team in the future, you've got to put all eyes on the marksman position. But let's talk about throughout the entire series, because it wasn't just Triple Lift. Sure, it was definitely a marksman-centric series, but players like your move. I mean, think about it. This guy was always a benefit to his team. 2 games on the Syndra. They both looked fantastic. He was never actually giving over free goal to the enemy team. And when it came to the Cassiopeia, he was putting on that second chair carry performance. When you look to the top lane, JLU was certainly putting on some strong performances, especially back to that game too on the Mordekaiser. And I think Greggy in particular, although he's not the star of the show, he doesn't need to be, and that's why I think he's a great role player. He's constantly just sacking some of his own personal timing when it comes to clearing jungle camps just to gank winning lanes, and it's paying off right now. It seems to be a formula that works in the future, and I've certainly got my eyes on Team Solid.
Yeah, and if we kind of break down the games as a whole, we really looked at the mid and bottom lanes for most of the games, if not all of them. Top lane was an island, and it wasn't until this game that Horizon had even gotten any attention. You know,
Yeah.
Judge was ganking over and over JLU, and you talked about it. That kind of just solidifies his ability to be such a strong member of his team. At the beginning of this game, I was talking about mentals, and I mean, he was just getting ganked back to back to back, and finally had enough of it. And in a 2v1, he not only picks up a kill before dying, but he survives. Sure, he loses his, or not before dying, rather, not before losing his turret. So he picks up a kill in a 2-for-1, loses his turret, and then chases Horizon away. And for the rest of the game, although being camped, is able to match Horizon as he tries to make plays around the map, completely cutting off Los Payasos' way back into these games. And then in game number 2, we saw the same exact thing where he played so very strong. And I mean, a 3-game series to end week 1, what more could you ask for?
No kidding. Early game was this serious, and it was decided by Team Solid. So congrats to themselves. Some bright points for sure from Payasos, and they've certainly got to iron out the wrinkles, but they showed some carry potential of their own slurps on the Aphelios. I'm hoping to be seeing some of that soon, but I wouldn't be surprised if enemy teams don't give it to him for a while.
Yeah, definitely drawing some bans moving forwards, but that is going to do it for us here. Week 1 in the books. I would just love to give a huge shout out again to Sector 6, Kono Keyboards, and the Unified Esports Association, and my colorcaster, Switch, and Hypertension behind the scenes making things run smoothly. Make sure, if you haven't already, to drop a follow here at Upsurge Esports because we're going to be bringing you so much action throughout the rest of the summer. And I mean, hey, we're all locked down anyway, so why not hang out here? A huge thank you again to everybody who tuned in to the matches, and a huge congratulations to Team Solid. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you in the next one.